weekday mornings from 7 to 10. It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stat Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Fight Song Friday. Starting us off with the Georgia Bulldogs after a loss, which is a little strange. But hey, they've got an opportunity to really bounce back this weekend against Auburn. For Sports Time, Brett not in right now. He is going to try to join us later in the show. He is right now in the air, I believe, with Ole Miss football team as they are headed to South Carolina. Like I said, he's going to try to join us later in the show when they get there, but we'll just have to wait and see. So Bryant and Connor with you for the next 3 hours. A ton to get into as we're going to talk a lot of wagering, a lot of handicapping, get some picks from our great handicappers, Alan Bell, Bruce Marshall. They'll join us later to give us all the picks. Like we usually do, we'll focus mainly on the NFL with Alan and mainly college football with Bruce. We'll talk some Arkansas football a little bit later as well. We'll talk the SEC. So a lot to get into over these next 3 hours. But I did want to start the show talking about all the action we had last night. We talked yesterday about the night of sports that we were going to have with the Game 3 of the wild card between the Mets and the Brewers. Thursday night football with the Falcons and the Buccaneers. You had 2 college football games, group of 5 games last night. And now today we've got the start of preseason NBA earlier today with the game in Abu Dhabi. And then also earlier today we had the first NHL game of the season as they're kind of doing the exact same thing that Major League Baseball did where everyone was at spring training. Dodgers and Padres met for 2 games in Korea, South Korea, and then the rest, everyone else was in spring training, and then the regular season started about a week after that. Basically, same thing NHL's doing. As always, I know everybody loves our hockey picks for the year. We'll do that either Monday or Tuesday of next week before the season really gets going. But I mainly wanted to talk about the 2 games last night, the NFL game for Thursday Night Football and the Major League Baseball game, Game 3 of the wild card series between the Brewers and the Mets. Connor, where do you want to start? You want to start with the NFL game or you want to start with the MLB game?
I want to start MLB. Both were electric, though.
Both were great. Both were really, really good games. And the baseball game was, that's what playoff baseball is what that game was last night. I think you got a little bit of everything. And, it felt like a lot of people were split on what was going to happen there. I know Johnny Radio was very high on the Mets. He had bet the Mets to win the series before the series even started. I was very high on the Brewers. I thought that they had enough offense, they had enough pitching to win this series against the Mets, and ultimately it became a great series. It was the only series that went to 3 games, and we saw last night the pitching, we saw the hitting. It was just a really good game. They go through 6.5 innings without either team scoring a run. In the bottom of the 7th inning, you have Jake Bauers for the Brewers, who was pinch hitting for Rhys Hoskins, his first at-bat, kind of the same thing we saw the night before with Garrett Mitchell, who pinch ran for Gary Sanchez, and then his first plate appearance hits a home run. Same thing with Jake Bauers. He pinch hits for Rhys Hoskins and hits a home run in his first at-bat. Then the very next at-bat, Sal Frelick, who I really like, a nice outfielder, he steps up, does the exact same thing, hits another home run. So now the Brewers are up 2-0 after 7 innings, and it really felt like that was going to be the spark they needed. They were going to be able to win that game. And then 9th inning, Devin Williams, who I think is one of the better closing pitchers in Major League Baseball, he comes in and has, been good. Came in the day before, I think, and shut the Mets down, but couldn't do it last night. He was tipping his pitches. Everyone's been talking about since the game. The Mets get 2 guys on, and then that guy,
I was really feeling the Brewers last night, but when I saw that win probability keep inching up on ESPN, it got up to 90. I thought it was about to explode and the Mets were going to come back, and they did.
They absolutely did. Pete Alonso steps up. What does he do? 3-run shot. You knew it the second it went off his bat that it was going, and it did, and they were able to tack on another run. Jesse Winker, I think, scored as well. So 4 runs in the 9th inning, and
what do you think about that? What do you think about the Winker Gronk spike helmet?
So I don't like Jesse Winker at all. I borderline hate Jesse Winker. I was cool with him when he was with the Nationals, fine player. He goes kind of around a couple places, ends up in Seattle, and pretty much everybody on the team hated him when he was in Seattle. Everyone's like, he doesn't show up. He's like, he doesn't care. He's just not a good dude. And so I was like, yeah, I'm out. He didn't play well either when he was with Seattle, so I was like, I'm out. And then the little stunt he pulls on Monday where he's sprinting around second, trying to hit a triple. He did get a triple, but he's sprinting around second, and he's jawing with everybody he sees on the Brewers. And then I think they went and did a mound visit after that. He's standing on third, jawing with Freddie Peralta. And I was like, all right, man, come on. And then last night, you score, you slam your helmet. I mean, grow up.
I mean, the Gronk spike was pure villain in the moment in
Exactly.
Milwaukee.
And
it was awesome.
It worked.
It was awesome.
It got under my skin. One fan. We also learned last night that Willie Adames waited in the parking lot for Jesse Winker after Game 1.
Yeah, how do you think that went?
Well, Jesse Winker didn't show up, so
He's here to play ball.
Oh, that's what he's here for. Yeah, exactly. But ultimately, the Mets win, and Pete Alonso will forever be remembered for that home run and that hit in that moment, and good for him. I'm not a huge fan of his either. I think Pete Alonso, I don't know, just another unlikable guy. I think this Mets team is very unlikable.
It seems like you really don't like the Mets.
I don't understand the OMG thing either.
It's Iglesias, his song.
That's what everyone tells me. That doesn't answer my question.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
I don't understand how
he performed it in Citi Field.
Like the rally cry for this Mets team. Everyone has these OMG signs.
Him, the Gronk spike, Grimace.
Yeah, I forgot about Grimace earlier in the season. This might be a team of destiny. I also saw this. I saw it earlier on, I think it was Fox Baseball that posted it on Twitter, and I saved it so that I could bring it back up. The Mets have now joined a club. Every team that has eliminated the Brewers from the postseason has made the World Series.
Ever?
1981. It doesn't say anything since any year, so I'm guessing ever. 1981, the Yankees did it in the ALDS. They ended up reaching the World Series. In 1982, St. Louis did it. And they ended up winning the World Series that year. St. Louis did. 2008, the Phillies did it in the NLDS. Ended up reaching and winning the World Series. 2011, St. Louis did it in the NLCS, made the World Series, won the World Series. 2018, the Dodgers did it, defeated them in the NLCS, made the World Series, did not win it. Nationals did it in the wild card, reached the World Series, won the World Series. Dodgers in 2020 reached and won. Atlanta 2021 reached and won. D-backs last year in 2023 reached, did not win. Now the Mets.
That's a lot more than I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, no, that was a ton.
Your money should go there.
Mets to make the World Series?
Mets to make the World Series.
Let's see what the odds are for that. Mets to win the World Series. I don't like the Mets, because then I'd have to be rooting for the Mets.
That was a large control group you had there.
It was. That's why I saved it, because I was like, that's actually a lot more teams than I thought it would be. Let's see. World Series. Can we just have them make the World Series? No, name the final. League winners. Here we go. Plus 500 for the Mets.
Sounds like great money.
I don't think that's good enough.
It's
odds.
confirmed.
I guess there's only 14.
We just heard. It's confirmed. You gave it to us. That's a 100%er.
We'll ask Alan.
We will ask Alan. That's a good question to ask.
We'll see what he thinks about those numbers and if the Mets can make it. But it's going to be tough for the Mets. They now got to play the Phillies, and the Phillies are good. I mean, the Phillies might be one of the best teams in baseball.
I think Winker can rally the
Give
crowd.
Give me a break. The other game last night, Thursday Night Football, Falcons and the Buccaneers. The Falcons get the win in overtime. I was screaming from the rooftops yesterday to take the Bucs. I really liked the Bucs last night. I thought going in as underdogs, they'd been playing well. I thought they could get it done. And most of the night last night, it felt like they were going to get it done. It was back and forth early. Bucs took a lead. It felt like, even though Atlanta was hanging around, they kept that lead. And, ultimately Atlanta gets the ball last with only a couple of about a minute left in the game. And they're able to drive down and kick a field goal, tie the game, and then overtime, you give the ball to Kirk Cousins, and he did Kirk Cousins things, drove right down the field, and they scored.
That was the best primetime game this year so far, and I think it showcased, again, that the overtime rules stink.
Wow.
I don't remember the last time I've seen an NFL game go into overtime where the first team didn't win. The first team to get the ball didn't win.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true.
I can't remember the last time I've seen it.
I feel like I've seen it.
It's been a while. But last night was electric.
Yeah, last night was fun. And Younghoe Koo, who was not great last night. What was he, 3 for 5 last night?
Yeah, they said he's missed 2 field goals the last 2 times he's played the Bucs.
Is that right?
Yeah. Wow. That's a weird stat.
But this is now, the second game this year that he's had either a game-tying or game-winning field goal?
Yeah, he's just electric under
pressure.
Under pressure.
He's able to make it count. So he kicks the field goal to send it to overtime. Kirk Cousins, who threw for over 500 yards last night, 42 for 58, 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I thought that 1 interception was going to be the backbreaker. I thought that was going to give Tampa Bay the win, and it did not.
Yeah, that was a bad pass. It was just kind of like he had to throw it somewhere. It was third or fourth?
No,
it was fourth?
It was like 4th and 17.
Yeah, and he had to throw it somewhere.
Yeah, and it was just
it was
like
bad
double
pass.
coverage and just whatever. But you told me you were up here producing the game last night, and a little peek behind the curtains. A lot of times you'll get up here to produce these games at night, and you'll ask me, what do you got tonight for the NFL game? I'll go, I don't know. I've been working. I don't have anything. So I told you very early this season, hey, our buddy Alan Bell, who we're going to talk to later today, our buddy Alan Bell, he goes live before every primetime game, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and him and all of his buddies that drive in the line, they give their plays for both the game and props. Just watch them and take whatever play you want to take from them. And so a little plug for Alan and Driving the Line. Go check them out. But you had a play that was, and I don't know why the way it read on the app was very weird. Over 45 and a half receptions?
Yeah, it had receptions. I couldn't find completions, but receptions, I was like, that's the same thing.
It's the same
thing.
It's just worded weirdly. But over 45 and a half completions is basically what it is, combined between the two teams. And Kirk Cousins almost did it himself with 42 completions.
Yeah, there were
night.
61 total.
That's insane.
61.
It's insane. Baker wasn't bad either. I mean, Baker only 180 yards, but 3 touchdowns. They really got the run game going. Tampa Bay did. They ran for 160 yards. But Kirk Cousins was great. 509, 4 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception. Drake London, he didn't play in the overtime because he got a little injured. But he still had 154 yards on 12 receptions and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney also 105 with 2 touchdowns and 9 receptions. Darnell Mooney was awesome last night.
Awesome. He caught everything except for that one ball that he should have caught.
Yeah, but I mean, he was great, and I think he's really found himself a role because when he was up with Chicago, right?
Yep.
He, everybody kind of wanted him to be the one. They wanted him to be the primary receiver. He just didn't fit that role, and now as the 2, he's a lot I think it opens him up a little bit.
He's great, and Cousins fed everyone last night. Everybody got the ball.
That's the thing. Here are the receivers. And I'll throw pass catchers. How about that? 154, 105, 88, 67, 66. And those were on 6 receptions, 7 receptions, 9 receptions, 12 receptions. And Kadarius Hodge, who won the game, had 67 receiving yards on 2 receptions. How about that? What a game for him.
Great.
What a game for him. So really fun last night for the NFL, and I think both of these teams, I don't know if I would throw my money today on either of these teams making the postseason, but I do think nobody's going to want to play either of these teams. I think these two teams could play upset all season long.
Oh, yeah.
And, we saw it, 2 weeks ago? When it was Atlanta and Kansas City, and Kansas City won, but it was a close game. Atlanta gave them a really, really good game, and so I think you'll see that a lot because I do think both these teams are playing really, really good football, and it made for a great Thursday night football game last night. Well, we got a lot to get into. We're going to preview a lot of the football from over the weekend. I mentioned we're going to get a bunch of bets, so let me go ahead and set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Alan Bell from AB3 and Driving the Line will join us to talk some wagering. We'll get to a ton of NFL games with him. Remember, this is the weekend we have the 8:30 a.m. our time first kick for in London. So we got a London game this weekend. We'll get his thoughts on that game, a lot of other NFL games. We'll touch on a few college football games as well. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball. We'll also make our picks for the division series. I've got both Brett's and Darian's. Connor, you have your own. I have my own. We'll get to all of our picks so we can keep up with that through these series. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net will join us. We'll talk a lot more wagering with him. We'll focus more on college football with Bruce rather than the NFL, but we will get to some NFL games at the end with him. 4:30, we'll get to we'll talk about the SEC, talk about these matchups over the weekend. Not a ton. We got a lot of off weeks in the SEC like we did last week, and the teams that are playing, it's a lot of SEC matchups. So we'll get to all of those games as we're really getting to the good part of the schedule for the SEC. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas will join us to talk about the Razorbacks and the SEC. We'll have to talk with him about last week's loss by Arkansas against Texas A&M, what he saw in that one, what he thinks about that series, because we didn't get to talk to Ty last Friday. He was out of town at a wedding, so we'll have to get his thoughts on Arkansas and Texas A&M making the change, stopping the series in Dallas and going back to campuses. We'll get his thoughts on that. We'll get his thoughts on this weekend's game for Arkansas as they host Tennessee. We might even talk a little Arkansas basketball with him as practices have begun. We are very, very close. Only a month away. November 4th is opening day for college basketball. So we'll talk some college basketball, I'm sure, with him as well. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure studios where family and fun come together. Get over to Family Leisure for the world's biggest spa sale going on now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spas starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. Special financing, it's available. And don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools too, and patio furniture. It's priced to move. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. I mentioned it earlier. Brett is in the air right now with Ole Miss football. He is going to try to join us once they land in Columbia, South Carolina. Hopefully he can be with us for the third hour, and especially when we get to First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. But if not, I have his picks so we can continue to roll right along. And don't forget, you can be a part of the show. Hit up the Sissy's Log Cabin guest and listener line, 901-360-8255. That's 901-360-8255. Got any comments, questions? If you want to ask the guys, Bruce or Alan, about plays, text those in. We'll make sure to ask those guys and get some picks for those games. And thanks, as always, to Sissy's Log Cabin for sponsoring our great listener line. Well, Connor, let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be the weekend of college football. I think some really good matchups starting tonight and going into tomorrow. I'm really excited, and I'm going to try to get plays from maybe both Bruce and Allen for this game tonight. Syracuse and UNLV tonight, 8 o'clock on FS1. I think there was a lot of talk, obviously, last week about this UNLV team with Matthew Sluka, the starting quarterback, announced that he was going to use his red shirt and enter the transfer portal after starting and leading UNLV to a 3-0 start. I think a lot of people were worried. I mean, this is a UNLV team that is number 25 in the country, and after they beat Kansas, a lot of people talking about this team being the team to represent the group of 5 in the college football playoffs. But it feels like after that news came out, Matthew Sluka isn't going to be the starting quarterback anymore. Some people kind of backed off of that, but I tried to tell people that Haj Malik Williams, the backup quarterback, because it was very weird what UNLV did. They went out in the offseason and got one starting quarterback from the FCS ranks in the transfer portal, Matthew Sluka, who started at Holy Cross, but they also went and got Campbell's starting quarterback, Haj Malik Williams, from the transfer portal, brought both of them in. Sluka ended up beating out Haj Malik Williams and became the starter, but I would argue that Haj is the better actual pass thrower.
Yeah, who would have thought they're both electric?
Yeah, they're both great. And, Sluka, I think John talked about a lot last week of, why are we worried about this guy? He completed 44% of his passes or something like that. He was, nowhere near 50% even. But the thing was, and I think a lot of people saw it in that Kansas game, he had electricity with his legs. And he was, that Kansas game, the pocket would collapse and he'd find a way out and shoot up 25 yards.
They both find a way to win games, and
Sure.
that's awesome about them.
They're both gamers, and so I think Haj is the better actual quarterback and kind of pass thrower, but he can also do something with his legs as well. So I'm interested to see what they can do against a better Syracuse team. Obviously, they brought in Kyle McCord through the transfer portal. They got a lot of new players, a new head coach, so that's going to be an awesome matchup tonight. And then you go into tomorrow. We only have one top 25 versus top 25 matchup, and that's at 11 a.m. tomorrow on ABC. Missouri and Texas A&M. I still don't know if I trust this Texas A&M team, and I wouldn't mind seeing more from this Missouri team. So this is a good test and a good matchup for both of these teams. Iowa and Ohio State. We always talk about Iowa's defense and how difficult it is to score against them, but Ohio State is an 18.5-point favorite in this one tomorrow afternoon. Ole Miss, can they get back on their feet on the road against South Carolina? South Carolina team that's coming off a bye week. Can Ole Miss cover this 9.5-point spread, or will South Carolina make it difficult? What does Alabama look like after beating Georgia in that wild, thrilling game last week when they're on the road against Vanderbilt? And then I think a really interesting one in the SEC, Tennessee coming off a bye week on the road against Arkansas. Arkansas looks a lot better offensively, but Tennessee looks like the real deal. And maybe the story of the year for this Tennessee team is how good their defense has been. Can Arkansas make it a little difficult for Tennessee, or will Tennessee continue to roll? They're 13.5-point favorites going into that game tomorrow. Memphis on and off week, but I think there are going to be some really, really fun games tomorrow.
You want not top, or you want my top?
If you want a top, so
my top, I got a top.
Please.
I think my top is going to be the Mets and Brewers game from last night. I will admit, I've been out of baseball a few months because I'm a White Sox fan,
That's
so
right.
I've been out of it a little bit. But I think these two teams both showed they're young in talent. They got some young talent, and that they can play at a high level. I love the Mets farm system. They got a few guys that Drew Gilbert from Tennessee, I think, is a great player that can come up soon. And the Brewers got Churio, they got Turang, they got Frelick.
Yeah.
I think these are just
Garrett
two teams.
Mitchell's another,
Garrett
26
Mitchell.
years old.
These are two teams that have great young talent that that will be the future of baseball.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think, but the thing with the Brewers is you look around that division. It was so easy to win this year, but now you've got Terry Francona being hired with the Reds. That's a young team that has some good players. You got the Pirates. They've got pitching and also young guys in the field. They can make that jump. And then with the Cubs, I mean, a lot of people thought the Cubs were going to be a team to go for it in the playoffs this year, and they obviously didn't. It feels like the only team that going into next year they're going to be better than is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, well, if my top story was college football, my not top story has to be the NFL. Another week in the NFL, and we'll get to learn a little bit more about these teams. And this week, we've got the fun flair of an 8:30 a.m. game in London between the Jets and the Vikings. The Vikings have been the surprise team of the year. They went out in the draft and drafted McCarthy, and then he comes in and gets injured. Now he's out for the season. What are they going to do? They turn to Sam Darnold, who they signed in the offseason. He's been great to start the year. He's looked really, really solid and has led this Vikings team to a 4-0 start. Now they go up against a Jets team that is 2-2, but I think as the season has gone on, maybe have looked a little bit better. They certainly didn't look better last week when they lost to Denver. They really did not play well in that game. So what do these two teams look like on Sunday morning to start the day? Everybody gonna have to maybe wake up a little earlier on Sunday to watch this one, but it should be a fun one. And so you start at 8:30 in the morning and you end with the Sunday night football game that I'm very nervous about. Cowboys on the road against the Steelers.
You brought up J.J. McCarthy. I think a lot of people forget that the Vikings had a second first-round pick. Dallas Turner has been very fun.
Yeah.
He hasn't really shown out on the stat sheets, but he has been very fun to watch on that defensive end.
And you're right. I mean, I think two young guys they were able to bring in the first round. I think both are going to be major contributors in the future for that Vikings team. But you look around some other interesting games. What do the Commanders do this week? That offense has been so good to start the season. I mean, you really look at these last two games. 38 points against the Bengals, 42 points last week against the Cardinals. Now they'll need to come up with stops and playing a better defense with the Browns. What can the 49ers do at home against the Cardinals? We know the injuries that they have. I think some fun games on Sunday, and I think we'll learn a little bit more about these teams. And now we're learning more about the Colts. It looks like Jonathan Taylor will not play on Sunday for the Colts while they're on the road against the Jaguars. And it also sounds like, from the reports that I saw, Joe Flacco is taking a majority of the first-team snaps. So it looks like he will likely start again on the road against the Jaguars. And right now, Jacksonville, a 3-point favorite.
My not top story of the day, didn't really have one, but I'm going to say Nick Chubb is back practicing. I think a lot of people forgot about him.
That's right.
He's on my fantasy team, so I'm real excited. He's not playing this weekend, but he's back practicing. Feels great.
That's right.
Looking great. He'll be back next
great.
week, hopefully.
That's great. Old Chubster. How about that? Maybe we can give them a little spark. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk some wagering with Alan Bell.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 5 Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
It didn't take them long. Genesis Diamonds is now the undisputed value leader here in Memphis. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and people who have gone into Genesis Diamonds with a budget have often left spending less than they thought they would, and they end up with a better diamond, a bigger diamond, and a nicer ring. I'm telling you, Genesis has disrupted the old school jewelry store scene right here in Memphis. It starts with value. Genesis is a direct diamond importer where they get their diamonds from the world's best diamond cutters with no middleman. I call it extreme value. Genesis is also the authorized retailer for all the top bridal designers, so they have the rings on every woman's wish list. They back up every purchase with a 100% free lifetime warranty. That means no charge ever for things like sizing or cleaning. All this in a fun, relaxed environment with no commission salespeople, no pressure of any kind, and no retail pricing games. We've needed a place like this for years here in Memphis, and now Genesis is here. It's quite a change from other jewelry stores with traditional prices, limited selection, and insane markups. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended in Poplar Commons.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know.
I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. I'm still trying to clean up a couple of minor wrecks we had out here a little bit earlier. There's lots of radar out here, especially over throughout Arkansas, down I-40 towards Forest City. Give yourself extra time as it builds already. Certain sections of 240 out here eastbound from Mill Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is that might be coming up, check with them first. You'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack, Snorsworthy, and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Well, no Brett today. He's hopefully going to join us later. He is in the air right now with Ole Miss football as they are on the road against South Carolina tomorrow afternoon, 2:30 kickoff. But we will have full coverage of pregame starting at 12:30 tomorrow as the Rebels are on the road against South Carolina. And while I'm telling you that you can listen to the Ole Miss game on Sports 56 tomorrow, let me remind you what we've got the entire weekend. Like I said, Ole Miss at South Carolina coverage starting tomorrow at 12:30. Then Sunday, we have an NFL triple header. Dolphins at Patriots at noon, Cardinals at 49ers at 3, and then Cowboys at Steelers 7 p.m. That Sunday night football game. Then Monday, we'll wrap up the week in the NFL with Saints at Chiefs, but obviously we'll be back on Monday to preview that game and recap everything that happened over the weekend. We're trying to get a hold of Alan, having some trouble to get him on, but hopefully we get him on soon so he can give us some plays for the weekend in the NFL and in college football. And I'm curious, there's a lot of games that I really don't know what side we're going to go on with Alan. I think the biggest one, though, that I'm questioning is Browns and Commanders. Darian and I talked about this earlier today because the Commanders have looked great to start the season. I've said it. As a Cowboys fan, I'm starting to be more worried about the Commanders than I am of the Eagles, and that is not something I've said in a really, really long time. But this Commanders team has looked really good offensively. They're great. Jaden Daniels has been one of the best quarterbacks, certainly the best rookie quarterback in the league, but he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for the last couple of weeks. Now they're going up against the Browns, a Browns team that has not looked good offensively. They don't have a run game. Deshaun Watson has really struggled, but they do have a really good defense that has kept them in a lot of these games. And so now you've got an offense with the Commanders that's looked really good going up against a top 5, top 6 defense with the Commanders. Right now, Washington a 3.5-point favorite, but I'm curious what Alan thinks. We might ask Bruce about this game as well. And then I'll be honest, I'm terrified of Cowboys and Steelers. This Steelers team, it's been ugly, but they found ways to win. 3-1 on the season. The Cowboys 2-2, and we'll see, what this Cowboys team look like. They've had some issues. They've struggled really to start the season. The only game that they've looked really good in was the first game of the season against the Browns. And now they've got to go up against a Steelers team. We know how good that Steelers defense is. I think Najee Harris will be able to run the ball against the Cowboys and probably make it look easy based on what we've seen. And now we know, it sounds like, Micah Parsons. Connor, have we gotten an update on Micah Parsons? Is he probably going to be out on Sunday?
I'm pretty sure he's out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know I'd seen a report earlier this week that said it was starting to trend to him being out. But, if he's out, we know Lawrence is out as well. His defense could really struggle against the run game, and I think that that's definitely the Cowboys' weak point. If you can run against the Dallas Cowboys defense, you're going to win the game, is what this season has felt like. And with those two guys, if those two guys are out, I think it will be really easy for any of these teams to run against the Cowboys and have success. So I'm nervous. Pittsburgh, a 2.5-point favorite right now against the Cowboys. Connor, what games in the NFL jump out to you?
I'm really liking the Ravens-Bengals.
Really?
I think
as like you want to watch it?
I want to watch it. I also think gambling. I think the Ravens -2.5 is 100% the play.
The Ravens -2.5? Yeah, probably.
But Joe Burrow did say I forgot what he said, but he said something like, "Oh, we're ready, we're back." Yeah, he's feeling it.
Oh,
so I'm excited about that.
Hey Joe, win a game. Well, he's won one.
He has won one. I also think it's very interesting. Like, I know the Colts aren't great in Jacksonville and, not good at all, but, the Jaguars haven't won a game. And they've scored 3 points in the fourth quarter total.
Well, I think mostly that is the fact that Jonathan Taylor's out and that Joe Flacco started. Even though I almost
Joe Flacco starting is better, I think.
That's what I'm saying. I think I would rather Joe Flacco start. But I don't know how many people that are betting this game are like, oh, man, let's back the backup quarterback that doesn't also have a running back.
I'm backing Joe Flacco.
I think I am too.
I'm backing Joe Flacco in any scenario he's in.
I think I'm too.
I don't care what team he's on. I'm backing Joe Flacco.
I believe I would need to double check, but I think that's my shock this week in the NFL is the Colts plus 3.5.
I think that's my shock too. And it is supposed to rain. I'm seeing now it is supposed to rain, so that might hurt the Colts without having a running back.
Yeah.
But I think the Colts can get it done.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. That game just confuses me because it's almost like they want you to take the Colts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like
they know something.
They're begging you to.
They
take
know
the
something
Colts. Because you're right. Like nobody in their right mind is sitting here like, oh yeah, Jaguars going to run away with this game.
The team who has scored, I repeat, 3 points in all the fourth quarters combined.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's like, this feels like one of those games where you're like, oh yeah, the Colts are definitely going to cover this, and then Jacksonville goes out and wins by like 2 touchdowns.
Have you seen them hyping up the Stephon Diggs Josh Allen game like it's some big beef?
Oh, I love that.
Oh yeah, they're hyping it up.
I love that. That's this weekend as well. I kind of forgot about that. Stephon Diggs has been pretty good with Houston, but the Bills have been really good as well. So that's going to be a good game, a noon game on CBS. It looks like. I don't know if it'll be on CBS here, if you'll have to watch that on Sunday Ticket, but that'll be a fun game.
That'll be a great game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really fun.
Good quarterback matchup, too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see C.J. Stroud really be back to what he was last year. He hasn't. He's played really good.
Sure.
Just hasn't been what he was last year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Which game's worse this weekend? Dolphins at Patriots or Raiders at Broncos?
I think this Dolphins Patriots is like the worst game
Dolphins
ever.
don't have quarterback.
I think this might be the worst game ever.
They just don't have a quarterback.
And I think that the Dolphins not having a quarterback might be the worst situation in football. Their schemes are so advanced that like Tyler Huntley, who is a great backup, just looks lost.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without making it sound like I'm glad Tua's injured. But everybody that over the offseason, I was like, Tua doesn't deserve that money. Like, with all those weapons, anybody can be the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
100% Tua is helping his case a lot.
I mean, come on now. I mean, everybody's in the offseason like, yeah, Tua doesn't deserve that money. And then Tua gets paid. And now Tua's out. And they've tried now 2 quarterbacks. And they've been terrible.
I mean, Skylar Thompson looked like he's never thrown a football in his life.
That's another thing. Is the Dolphins knew that Tua's had injury concerns in the past, and they knew what Skylar Thompson can do, and they still entered this season with Skylar Thompson as the backup quarterback.
They had Mike White last year. He was awesome. Remember him with the Jets? Him with the Jets was magical.
Not a better person, a better quarterback out there they could have brought in as backup other than Skylar Thompson.
Zach Wilson was having more fun on the bench with Mike White starting for the Jets.
It just blows my mind. I mean, I guess that was 2 games ago when Skylar Thompson started. I'm watching the game. I'm like, this is the guy that the Dolphins were like, yeah, this is our backup quarterback.
Also, how was nobody wanting to pay Joe Flacco to play quarterback?
That's the thing. You got Joe Flacco out there. Now, obviously, we know he's now with the Colts. You had Joe Flacco out there. I mean, why wasn't a team calling for him to be the backup quarterback before the Colts did?
Or a starter for these, like, Bryce Young, like these rookies that are not ready to play
Bryce
yet.
Young, he might be like a rookie. He ain't a rookie
not a rookie.
anymore.
But I'm saying, like, that type of scenario.
Yeah.
Like
well, I mean, I guess New England's been okay, but, like, New England with Drake May. But Brissett hadn't been bad.
Yeah, but, like, Joe Flacco is amazing still.
Yeah.
He looks awesome.
Or, like, why hasn't Ryan Tannehill gotten a call? I'd rather have Ryan Tannehill than
I don't know if
Thompson.
Tyler Huntley, I don't know if I'd rather have Ryan Tannehill than Tyler Huntley.
That's true. But it's certainly more than Skylar
I mean, this
Thompson.
is Tyler Huntley. That was like 1 week with the team,
Well,
so we got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm more talking about Skylar Thompson. I'm still on the fact of like why in the world did the Dolphins think it was a good idea to go into the season with him being the starter quarterback?
Yeah, I have no idea. There's a lot
He's
more.
not a backup quarterback. Like he's not good.
Yeah.
I don't think any other team in the NFL would have him as their backup quarterback.
I mean, at least get Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's a third. He's a third string right now.
Is he the third string?
Yeah, he's the third string. I think Stidham is
he?
2.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. That was a nice embrace between him and Saleh last weekend.
And Aaron Rodgers. Great embrace. They love each other.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, little brother, big brother.
That's right.
Great.
Because Aaron Rodgers has such a great track record of being very welcoming and being very welcomed by quarterbacks.
Oh, he said multiple times he loves Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's just a great guy.
Jordan Love, too.
He does. He loves Jordan Love. Jordan Love is currently taking over Aaron Rodgers' ownership of the Bears.
Well, that is true. That is true. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Allen on the phone. Hopefully we can get him back next week, but I hate that we're missing his plays. I will say this, that even though we missed him today, go and watch Driving the Line and get his plays all the time. Connor got a winner.
His plays are awesome.
Last night from him. A daily show that him and everybody at Driving the Line does where they give out plays every single day for all sorts of sports. Football, obviously, basketball, baseball. I believe they'll have some hockey picks coming up. They do, what's the sport they do? Oh, soccer. They do a lot of soccer as well. They have handicappers for soccer.
You forget soccer?
Yeah, I forgot
You don't know soccer?
Well, I was just thinking of what's the other sport that I usually see them doing at soccer. And like we were saying earlier, they go live before every primetime NFL game. So Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, go live before all of those games, and they just do complete props, game breakdown of that game. So they definitely have a lot of good stuff. But before we get to a break, I know the weekend is basically here. Friday afternoon, a lot of people getting ready to leave work. Maybe you're looking for a place to watch the game tonight or get out over the weekend. I've got just the spot for you. It's Bell Tavern, located at 117 Barbaro Alley. Open from 4 to 11 Wednesday through Saturday and 4 to 8 on Sundays. I know nobody likes a loud bar where you can't hear yourself think, much less talk, but that's the opposite of Bell Tavern. Start the night with a gourmet burger and one of their great cocktails and a quiet, dimly lit bar that you can enjoy a game at with your friends. It's not just the burgers. Bell Tavern has the best bar food in Memphis and the coldest beer in the city. For more information about our friends over at Bell Tavern, give them a call, 901-249-6580, or go online to belltavern.com. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball, and we'll also make our picks for the next round in the playoffs. We'll do all of that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The best I do's start with Sissy's Blue. Discover bridal jewelry worthy of your big day at Sissy's Log Cabin, along with our spectacular experience that comes with our promise of exceptional quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Experience our expansive selection when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Find your perfect engagement ring only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Contractors, are you in town for a job or getting ready to do a job for a customer during their holiday shutdown? Then you should visit TSS Supply for your concrete coatings and supplies. Why wait for materials when TSS Supply has everything you need in stock and they can get it to you today or within 24 hours? TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. A great way to beat the heat this summer is to stop into Corky's for happy hour and let us pour you an ice-cold draft beer. Corky's has the best happy hour deals around with our selection of local craft beers on draft for only $2. And check out our appetizer specials, including dollar wings and half order of barbecue nachos. Stop into any Memphis area location Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're in East Memphis, check out our newly renovated location and enjoy our new patio.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. A great way to beat the heat this summer is to stop into Corky's for happy hour and let us pour you an ice-cold draft beer. Corky's has the best happy hour deals around with our selection of local craft beers on draft for only $2. And check out our appetizer specials, including dollar wings and half order of barbecue nachos. Stop into any Memphis area location Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're in East Memphis, check out our newly renovated location and enjoy our new patio.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats, Norsworthy, and Brian Davis.
So the wild card's officially done in Major League Baseball. Now we've moved on to the divisional series, and I think some interesting matchups coming up tomorrow. Brett and I talked a lot yesterday about the scheduling for Major League Baseball and kind of how they've played this. Brett wanted them to move some of these games at least up to Friday, so Major League Baseball could capitalize on this off day, especially with Saturday and Sunday both being dominated by football. College football obviously tomorrow, and then Sunday the NFL. So I wouldn't have mind certainly having day games today of Major League Baseball, but I don't know, because they wouldn't have put all of these games on Friday, so we probably would have just gotten a couple of night games. But we're here, we're stuck with games on Saturday, and so I'm sure a lot of people will be trying to keep up with both the baseball and college football. So here's what the schedule looks like, and then we'll get to our picks. 12 o'clock tomorrow on TBS and True TV. Detroit Tigers on the road against the Cleveland Guardians. 3 o'clock, Mets at Phillies on Fox. 5:30 on TBS, Royals at Yankees. And then the night will wrap up at 7:30 with Padres Dodgers on FS1. I think a lot of intriguing matchups in this series. I think you look at what the Mets did in the wild card, now going to play the Phillies, a team that has been dominant all year long. I really like this Padres-Dodgers series that we're going to get. That should be a lot of fun. And what can the Detroit Tigers do? A team that snuck into the wild card. I had the stat earlier this week about how many games back they were earlier in August to be able to make the wild card was really impressive. What can they do against the Guardians? But we need to make our picks for this next round. So let me find Brett's picks. Connor, I believe you have Darian's picks for these games, and of course your picks as well. So I will start with Brett's picks, then we'll go to Darian's picks, then I'll give my picks, and then Connor, you can give your picks. So we'll kind of go back and forth here. For Brett, he is going to take Cleveland to beat Detroit, the Yankees to beat the Royals, the Mets to beat the Phillies, and the Padres to beat the Dodgers. So he has Cleveland, the Yankees, the Mets, and the Padres. Connor, who does Darian have?
Darian also has the Guardians beating Detroit.
Okay.
He has the Yankees beating the Royals.
Mm-hmm.
He has the Mets beating the Phillies. And he has the Dodgers beating San Diego.
So he has the exact same thing as Brett. They're both lockstep.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
All
yes,
right,
they
how
did.
about that? Okay, for me, I am going to take Detroit to beat the Guardians. Darian and I were talking earlier today, and one of the biggest reasons he took the Mets over the Phillies is because he said they have a lot of mojo right now, and they played that doubleheader on Monday. They got the win to get into the wild card. Now they've won the wild card. A lot of momentum, a lot of good juju going through them as they enter this series against the Phillies. Well, I'm going to say the same thing for the Tigers against the Guardians. How they've played as of late this last month or two to even be able to get into the wild card, and then beat the Astros, sweep them on the road in an environment against a team that has a lot of playoff success, an environment that knows playoff baseball. To be able to win there, I think they can go into Cleveland and get a series win over the Guardians. So I will take the Detroit Tigers. Mets and Phillies, I'm going to go with the Phillies. I just think the Phillies have been so good all year long. I'm going to take them to beat the Mets. I think they can make it look really, really easy. At some point, I know they got the day off today, but I think you're going to start seeing a little bit of fatigue with the Mets. They've been playing, it just feels like every game they've played lately has been almost a must-win. It feels like you got to win this game if you're the Mets. So I'm going to take the Phillies to win that series and advance. Royals and Yankees, I'm going to take the Yankees. I think the Yankees are much better than the Royals. I think the Royals are a feisty team, but maybe just a little too young and inexperienced to make a run this year. So I think the Yankees, they've got those guys. They can win this series. And then the final one, I think this is going to be a great series. I'm really excited to watch this one in particular, and I'm going to go with the Dodgers to beat the Padres. I just think, I know Padres are starting to feel like a trendy pick, a team that won 93 games this season. They've got a good squad, but the Dodgers have been built for the playoffs. They have those stars. Everything they've built throughout off seasons, through free agency, through trades, this team that they now have formed by adding Shohei Ohtani kind of felt like that final piece. All of this was for the playoffs. They built this team to win in October, and so I think they win this series against the Padres. So I've got Tigers, Phillies, Yankees, Dodgers.
How interesting. Darian and Brett have the same picks. Me and you have the same picks.
Wow.
I have the Tigers, Yankees, Phillies, and Dodgers winning their series outright.
Wow. How about that? So we are, I did not expect that. Why Detroit?
They're hot.
That's exactly why I have them. So I think these are going to be fun. I love playoff baseball. It's just every at-bat feels like a big one.
What did their manager say?
Detroit?
What did the Tigers manager say?
I don't know. I must have missed it.
He said, "Don't let the Tigers get hot."
That's what everybody says when they get hot, or they're about to get hot.
But I also did say Winker and the boys are hot, so I didn't really follow that.
Please.
But after
Jesse
last night,
they might be hot.
The Mets
are
looking great.
Look out for the Mets. No, please. I think the Phillies make it look easy, if I'm being honest. At home, Citizens Bank Park's going to be rocking. Let's go Phillies. We need to go ahead and wrap up this first hour and get to a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a whole lot of wagering. Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. We'll talk about the biggest college football games of the weekend. We'll get his picks, and also we'll get to some of these NFL games as well. We'll do all of that next on Sports Time.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Enjoy Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dine in and buy 12 wings, get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekend. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, Fall.
Step up your wings
playoffs game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Some people think Taco Bell is only for late night, but if that was the case, it wouldn't be open all day. That'd be horrible management. It's also for the daytime, which is why Taco Bell's introducing the new Cantina Chicken menu. With new Cantina Chicken tacos, burrito, and quesadilla, with seasoned slow roasted chicken, and even a new avocado verde salsa packet. You should try it today, emphasizing that word so you don't forget that it's not just for late night.
Introducing the new Cantina Chicken menu, Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations while supplies last. Contract store for participation materials.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know.
I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's picking up out here in a couple of spots. 240 as you get on to 385 Billmore Parkway has gotten a little bit heavier the last few minutes, but it's still moving as you head out towards Collierville. It looks decent right now through the Midtown area on I-40 east and west over here up by Chelsea as it tries to get a little bit busy at times. 55 across the bridge headed over into West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is, go by and see them first before you shop anywhere else. Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Car Wash, residential and commercial wash and service you can trust. Here once again are Greg Morsworthy and Bennett Dakin.
Welcome back into Sports Time. No Brett today. He's going to try and join us later as he is in the air right now with Ole Miss football, traveling to South Carolina for their game tomorrow afternoon. As always, you can listen to that game right here on Sports 56. We'll have coverage starting with pregame at 12:30 for that 2:30 first kick. But we've got to talk some wagering, so let's go ahead and get to Bruce Marshall.
Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, fansports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with Captain in Sports Talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Ryan and Brett.
Bruce Bruce Marshall joins us from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net to talk a lot of these games over the weekend. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of games I want to get to in both college and the NFL, but I do want to start off with the game tonight in your backyard. Syracuse heading down to UNLV. Right now, UNLV about a 5.5-point favorite. That total sitting about 55.5. I guess my first question is, how much talk has UNLV been getting around the Las Vegas area? And then what do you like, if anything, in this game tonight?
Yeah, they are generating a buzz here, and it started a little bit last year when Barry Odom forged a nice turnaround rather immediately, and they got to the bowl game. They closed the season a little slow. They were a little worn out, some attrition on defense, so they lost the Mountain West title game and the bowl game to Kansas. But, they've started so good this year. There's the quarterback thing we know. Everybody knows about what happened with Matthew Sluka, the Holy Cross transfer, and the nil promise or whatever it was, and he left the team. But the backup, who was really running about neck and neck with him through fall camp, Haji Malik Williams, another FCS transfer, in his case from Campbell, where he put up some really big numbers the last couple of years. And Odom, Barry Odom has thought the whole way that he could go with Williams too. He just had to make a choice, and he went with Sluka. But Williams looked very good last week against Fresno, really good. UNLV put everything together. The defense much improved over past versions. That is a direct correlation to Odom being there. Now tonight, UNLV has beaten a couple of Power 5 conference teams. Houston, which is down this year, they won that game pretty handily, and they won a game against Kansas that was played in Kansas City, Kansas, actually, at the soccer stadium. But then the blowout of Fresno last week, something else. I think it's a little tricky spot here, though, because there was a lot of emotion last week. They really circled the wagons after Sluka left the team, and everything went right against Fresno, and Williams looked really good. Syracuse, though, might be pretty formidable here. They only lost that game at the last second to Stanford. Nice one over Georgia Tech. They're a little better than we thought with Fran Brown. And, of course, McCord, the transfer quarterback from Ohio State, has put up some good numbers. First ACC team that's ever come in here to Las Vegas to play the Rebels, so that's sort of a big deal. So they are buzzing here. I don't have a real strong opinion on it, except I will point this out, that Odom's point spread number record with UNLV is exceptional. I think he's 14-4 now. So he's been covering a lot of numbers, and they've had very few flat spots, and I would not bet against UNLV in this spot tonight.
I like it. That's going to be a fun game to watch later tonight on FS1. Only one top 25 versus top 25 matchup this weekend, and it's Missouri on the road against Texas A&M. Missouri undefeated to start the season. Texas A&M, their only loss, game one against Notre Dame. Right now, A&M a 2.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 48.5. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I lean a little to Mizzou here. I don't think they've looked quite as good as we thought they were going to look early on there. They really were kind of fortunate to escape Vanderbilt a couple of weeks ago. They finally kind of got Luther Burden going, but they had two tough games in a row against BC and Vandy at home. Didn't come close to covering either of those. So now this is a first test on the road. But I mean, these guys were good last year on the road. They beat Ohio State in the bowl game, although Ohio State was down some players. But the formidable Brady Cook has a lot more experience at quarterback than if Reed's still going, which I think he is for Texas A&M tonight. Now, the Aggies really looked like they might get beat last week by Arkansas. The offense wasn't doing anything in the second half until they put that drive together, and that's, again, Reed coming up really big. And for a young quarterback to step in after Weigman was hurt, he's made big plays, and he's not thrown a pick yet. So he's been cutting the mistakes down. But I think in a spot like this, I might prefer the experience at quarterback. The scheduling breaks, I think, a little better for Mizzou. They needed that week off last week. And let's face it, that was a very emotional game for A&M up at Jerry World last week. The last time they played in the Arkansas game, I guess, at Cowboy Stadium. But the way they won that, kind of enthralling, I think it might be a little tough bounce back for them. A little bit to Missouri here, but this is a very good game on Saturday.
Yeah. We've talked about this game a lot this week. Ole Miss on the road against South Carolina. Ole Miss coming off that really heartbreaking loss against Kentucky last week, a home loss to Kentucky. Now they go on the road against a South Carolina team that's coming off an off week. Right now, Ole Miss, a 9.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 53.5. What do you like in this one?
I think that's way too many points. I'm a little disappointed with Ole Miss. I mean, that was not a tough schedule they had pre-league, and I mean everything should have been focused to Kentucky, and they fell short. So I can't buy that they were overlooking Kentucky. Kentucky might be a little better than I thought, and I maybe was shortchanging them a bit because of the South Carolina game earlier. But that brings us to South Carolina here. We will see if Lenora Sellers gets back in there at quarterback. Apparently, he did get back to practice this week, but there's a chance that Shane Beamer still goes with Ashford, who came in late in the LSU game after Sellers got hurt, but really looked good against Akron in the last game. Almost 400 yards of total offense. He ran for like over 160. Dual threat, came from Auburn before, so it could be him there, but I think watching South Carolina, I mean, they really should have beaten LSU in that game. And the throttling of Kentucky and, of course, in the blowout of Akron, this team could easily be sitting there 4-0 and ranked right now if that LSU thing went. Just that one play to pick six, they win the game if they don't have a very dumb personal foul late hit on the quarterback after the interception on that pick six in the fourth quarter. I'm taking South Carolina here. I'd be very tempted to play the Gamecocks in the money line, but let's see if Ole Miss bounces back. Lane will be really happy to win by 3 points there, so I think this could be a close game. I will take the points.
I like that. Tennessee on the road against Arkansas. You mentioned Arkansas a second ago, talking about their game last week against Texas A&M, a really close back-and-forth game for them. Tennessee, another team coming off a bye week, but they've looked really, really good to start the year, and they are 13.5-point favorites on the road in Fayetteville. Right now, the total sitting at 56.5. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's looked as good as anybody in the country. I mean, the schedule wasn't too hard early, but they did go into Oklahoma, and they won that thing pretty easily. They put up all those points in the early games, but I think what impresses most is the way the defense has been playing. They really fly on that side of the ball. Oklahoma could basically do nothing in that game until very late. They scored a touchdown with the backup quarterback, who's now become the starter for Oklahoma. But the defense has really, really been top-notch, and you get the feeling that Nico has still got a much higher ceiling offensively, and he should continue to get better. So that's the positive here for Tennessee, that the best might be yet to come from this team. At some point, though, this is a tough one because Tennessee's looked so good, but I do have respect for Arkansas. They've covered all three games as an underdog this year, and they have historically, since Sam Pittman got there in the COVID year, they got a very good record as an underdog. The game they could have won last week, though, and you got to think, though, Pittman is sort of on the hot seat there, and they've got to win, one or two of these sorts of games. I'm not sure a 6-6 type season saves his job, but we have seen enough from the Petrino offense. A&M game was tough, though, but Taven Green has made plays. He's made some mistakes, too. He's going to have to play mistake-free. And Pittman's defense has played pretty well, too. I'm going to take Arkansas to hang in there, maybe not win the game. And we'll talk down the road about Pittman's job status. I mean, how Arkansas, if he's going to be able to salvage it this season. They're right on the verge of doing it. This would really help him to win this game. I don't think he will, but I think stays within that 13.5 spread.
Yeah. The big game from last week was that Georgia and Alabama game. Alabama goes up big in the first half, and then in the second half, here comes Georgia. Really came down to the wire, and Ryan Williams, who's now become a household name, it feels like, as a 17-year-old, came up big for Alabama late in that one. So now, after that win for Alabama, they turn around and go on the road to Vanderbilt, where they are a heavy favorite, 22.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 56.5. Can Alabama keep this rolling, or does Vanderbilt keep this close?
Vanderbilt might be able to hang inside that number, and that price has dropped a bit, Bryant. It's all the 24s earlier in the week, so some people have been betting Vanderbilt here. This is a better Vandy team. We've talked about them before. They are off a bye, but two very tough losses before that, and they could have won both those games. The Missouri game in overtime and Georgia State, they fought back to get the lead against Georgia State and then gave up a late touchdown pass in the last few seconds. So it could be sitting here 4-0. Clark Lee is also in the same sort of boat as Pittman is. He's trying to save his job. We've talked about bringing Jerry Killen on staff from New Mexico State out of retirement, and the offensive coordinator Tim Beck from New Mexico State, and the quarterback Diego Pavia, also New Mexico State. He's made a difference. I just wonder, Alabama was, they jumped out so quick last week. They were so ready to play. It's hard to maintain that intensity for 60 minutes, and indeed Georgia came back at them last week. But I am not sure that Bama's just going to go in here and roll. The last two times they played Vandy, it was 55-3 in Tuscaloosa 2 years ago, and the time before that it was 59-0 in Nashville. It'll be closer this time. I might give Vandy a shot. With Pavia there, I think, and the back door is going to be wide open. I mean, it could be, 35-7 in the fourth quarter, and Pavia throws a touchdown pass and they're inside the number. That's what might happen, so a little lean to Vanderbilt here.
I like that. Another game involving an SEC team that I'm really curious your thoughts, because I don't know what to think about this game. UCF on the road against Florida. I'm seeing right now UCF a 1.5-point favorite on the road. We know everything going on with Florida, and it seems like at any point they could make a firing at that head coach position, and maybe if they lose to UCF at home, that could maybe do it. What do you see in this one? Do you think Florida can protect that home field and win this game, cover this spread, or do you think it's going to be UCF?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing there, Brian, as you were. I mean, this is one we talked about this before. I mean, what's the must-win game for Napier to keep his job? I think right now, well, this is the next one on the schedule, but it really applies here. If he loses to UCF and the schedule is much tougher, he's got a lot of tough games coming up. I don't see how he survives, and he may not survive after this game. Having said that, though, they are off a bye week. The last game. He looks like he's using both quarterbacks. He's going to play Mertz and Lagway both, which comes with its own pitfalls. But so far, he thinks that that's the best way to do it. The question I have here is how good UCF is, and I thought there was a little false alarm. I kind of like Colorado in that game last week, but they really boat raced UCF down there in Orlando, and I'm just not sure, how good UCF is. I know they've got KJ Jefferson in from Arkansas at quarterback, but the defense, real question mark to me. I think Florida gets them tomorrow. Stay of execution for Billy Napier. He's got a lot of hurdles to overcome, but I'd be surprised if he lost this game tomorrow. If he did, though, I think you might be right. I think they might pink slip him after this week, so it is sort of a must-win for Napier.
Yeah, a couple more college games I want to get to, and then I want to get to some NFL games. Another line that kind of made my eyebrows raise was this Michigan-Washington game. Obviously, Michigan, a top 10 team, 4-1, got the big win a couple weeks ago against USC. They're on the road against Washington, and Washington right now is a 1.5-point favorite at home in Seattle. 6:30 kickoff here locally, Memphis time. That total sitting at 41.5. What do you see in this one? I watched a lot of Washington last week. I think they were playing Rutgers, if I remember correctly, and they kept it close against Rutgers, made it a game. What do you think about this one against Michigan?
And it's hard to believe, Bryant, that these two were playing for the national title. What, 8 months ago? 9 months ago?
That's right.
I mean, really is. I mean, it's hard to believe. The teams are totally different both ways. And new coaches, new quarterbacks, the whole thing. What gets me, I am not, I mean, Washington is just an ordinary team this year. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't Will Rogers, when Mike Leach was alive and running Mississippi State, Rogers put up numbers. He hasn't done much since. They had a game against Northwestern a couple weeks ago that was even more boring than the Rutgers game, although they beat Northwestern. But it was a low-scoring game. I think that's probably what we're going to get here tonight. Since Michigan has made the switch to Orji at quarterback, they've played a little better, but all they're doing is running. I mean, Orji is not a thrower.
Right.
And I just think there's very limited upside. You could play smash mouth against a team like USC that doesn't like to play that way and run them over. Maybe you can do that to the Huskies. The total sitting there about 41 and a half the last I saw. Unless this game goes overtime, my thought here that is it's going to go under. And it's some of these Washington games, the Northwestern game, the Rutgers game, you mentioned that. I mean, those are tedious games, and Michigan's been playing some tedious ones too. I think this one's probably under. I'm not sure who's going to win because neither of these teams are close to what they were last year.
Yeah.
But I do think it's going to be low scoring, and that seems to be holding true in Washington's games for sure.
Talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Before we get over to the NFL, is there any plays that you really like for college football that we didn't get to?
Yeah, a few favorites here in a group of 5 sorts of games. I'm going to give Army a shot against Tulsa. They're doing everything right. They're back to a traditional option. Bryson Daly, great quarterback, running the option. They're killing teams in the American. Tulsa, really disappointing. Kevin Wilson, they just don't have any identity for him. And that's a hire. They were hoping they could get Wilson's over 60 years old. They thought he could glide it out there and not leave. They'd have some stability, but he has not been able to hit the ignition switch at Tulsa. And we saw the North Texas result. They really got bombed in that one. So I'm going to take Army there, sticking in the service academy thing. Navy Air Force playing in Colorado Springs, and this has been as most Commander-in-Chief games. I think it's 46-11-1. The last 58 Commander-in-Chief games have gone under the total. The last 4 in this series have. This year, though, Air Force is bad. This is the worst Air Force team that Troy Calhoun has had. I think it's even worse than that 2013 team, and that team had excuses because they got wiped out by injuries, playing 5 or 6 quarterbacks. This team cannot run. Navy, that's bad for Air Force. I mean, this is really a bad Air Force team. Navy is doing, I'm telling you, they brought the assistant up from Mercer, Drew Cronick, running a lot of wing T, and nobody's stopping them. Memphis people know that. They saw what Horvath did to them a couple weeks ago, and they hate Air Force, so I think Navy might be there. UConn is another one. Jim Mora is putting this together pretty nice. They're 11th nationally in rushing. He's got 2 quarterbacks, Fontano and Evers. Evers was hurt, so he last week, but they won that game big over Buffalo. Temple, worst rushing defense in the country. They have played Army and Navy, but I think UConn. Listen, Buffalo and Florida Atlantic are not bad teams to blow them out. Right. And so UConn. And one more, I will lay the points with Boise. Nobody in the Mountain West can tackle Ashton Jenney. Utah State is a disaster zone right now. The Blake Anderson firing was a bad deal. He's suing the school. The interim, Nate Dreiling, is way overmatched here. And this is one of these 49-7 sorts of games. Jenney is averaging better than 10 yards per carry, Bryant. So a chance to see him. It's on TV tomorrow, so he's in the Heisman race, so I'd watch him and put up some big numbers tomorrow.
And it's a better time here locally in Memphis, 6 p.m. start locally here rather than the 9:30, 10 o'clock starts that we usually get for Boise State games. So, yeah, you definitely got to get some eyes on that. Okay, jumping over to the NFL, curious about just a few games here. And I'm going to start off with the early morning one, 8:30 our time, 6:30 your time out there in Vegas, Bruce. Jets and Vikings in London right now. Minnesota undefeated and a 2.5-point favorite in this one. The total is 40.5. What do you look at when you see these games that are on different continents and playing at weird times? Do you try to stay away from them? Do you handicap them any differently? How have you gone about this Jets and Vikings game?
And there hasn't been much pattern with that. These teams have played over there before. In the Jets' case, it's not any longer trip really than going to Seattle. So,
right.
So I think that'll work out fine. They've been there most of the week. Everything would point to the Vikings from the way they've been playing, and Sam Darnold's been a revelation. And I think we see Kevin O'Connell really has that program on track. When you give him a quarterback that can do something, the Vikings are pretty dangerous. But just something tells me the nature of the NFL, the Jets, back and forth. Aaron Rodgers, that game last week, Denver really jammed the gearbox on him. But the conditions, it was damp, it was rainy. I think the Jets bounce back here, and it's for no other. I can't cite that. I can't use performance here. to justify that. It's just historical looking at the NFL, what happens in these sorts of games. Minnesota cannot keep winning every week. They're good. They're not that good.
Yeah.
So this is the week, I think. It's just law of averages more than anything for me. The yin and yang of the NFL. And I'll take the Jets here.
That's right. Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, the Steelers, a 2.5-point favorite in that one as well. That total at 43.5. What do you like in the primetime showdown?
Yeah, I kind of want to take Pittsburgh here, but, you know, and Dallas, I don't want to be, you know, always kind of scared Dallas erupts and they can score a lot of points at times, but it seems like there's certain teams that Dak does that against. A good defensive team like Pittsburgh, it just doesn't happen for him against a team like that. Justin Fields might have to make a few more plays. They got to take the leash off him a little bit more. But Dallas having a lot of trouble with the Giants. That's a team they destroyed last year, and I just don't. Dallas is a very unimpressive 2-2. I kind of think Pittsburgh gets them. I had to score 23-17 Steelers on this one.
I like that. Anything else in the NFL that you like?
Yeah, I tell you, I kind of think you know, these Commanders, something's going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaden Daniels, he looks even better than C.J. Stroud did last year, and I mean they have been dismantling. This offense is putting up huge points. I think Cleveland has got a lot of problems, and as watching them last week against the Raiders, just disorganized. I mean, they couldn't get plays in from the sideline. They are really hurrying to snap the ball to beat the play clock. Deshaun Watson just looks, I mean, flustered out there. It's a short price. Washington might be the best team in the NFC East, and Dan Quinn has done a really good job, so I'll take the Commanders.
Wow, I like that. They certainly have looked great offensively lately. Bruce, before we let you go, where can people find more of you?
Yeah, Brian, thanks. Check me out online at VegasInsider.com. We got picks up there. Not a lot going on today, but this weekend, baseball kicks up again. College football, NFL, VegasInsider.com. Also picks at CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com. And my new ones, Winners and Winers, WHINERS.com, and PicksandParlays.com.
Bruce, have a good weekend. Good luck, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Okay, Brian.
Thanks, Bruce. Bruce Marshall joining us to talk some wagering from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. We need to get to a break. Before we do that, let me remind you about our 4 o'clock sponsor, Wilson's Pro Wash. Do me a favor. Picture your home beautifully clean and pristine. Does that seem impossible? Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Their Gentle Touch Pro Wash will restore your house, fence, driveway, commercial building, and more to their very best. Wilson specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, from concrete to stone, brick to mortar, and even wood to vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal your surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Wilson's Pro Wash, clean is their mission. They'll wash away everything but your sins. So give them a call at 901-524-6799. That's 901-524-6799, or visit them online at wilsonsprowash.com. Let's get to another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the weekend in the SEC. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes, or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Possible! Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then, Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's on the increase just a bit in the last few minutes. 240 eastbound from Mill Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway, which actually looks pretty good right now on Bill Morris as you head out to Collierville. It's trying its best to get busy over here in the Midtown area on 240 southbound, not only there around Union, but making your way down past Norris. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is, it's coming up. Check with them first. You'll save a lot of money. Shop there this weekend, you'll see, at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Pro Wash, your residential and commercial pressure washing service you can trust. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian Connor with you. Brett is planning on joining us soon. I believe they've touched down in Columbia, South Carolina, so he should join us soon, and we'll get through the last hour or so with him. But we've got to talk the SEC, as we've got a lot of good matchups over the weekend to talk about. And so let's start with the only 11 a.m. kickoff in the SEC, and it's the only ranked matchup of the weekend on ABC. Number 9 Missouri on the road against number 25 Texas A&M. I don't think they're actually number 25 because I think I said UNLV was number 25. I think I wrote that down wrong. So let's double check that. No, they are number 25. I don't know what UNLV is then because I could have sworn I saw them at 25. What do you like in this game, Connor? What do you think of these two teams?
I think Missouri comes back. Bye week, they almost lost to Vanderbilt. I think they get going because they haven't really shown what they were last year at all. I think they get going this week. What is the Texas A&M -2.5? I think I have Missouri.
Ooh, okay. I'm really interested in this game because kind of like what you were saying, and Bruce kind of alluded to this as well. I am not sold on Texas A&M. I know what their record is. I know their only loss to Notre Dame, but it feels like even the wins, they don't look that good.
No, not at all.
They haven't shown me that they're, this can't miss top 25 team. On the other side with Missouri, after everything we saw last year, I think I hope they would look a little better this year than what they've looked like so far. But they've played well. They've got a great quarterback in Brady Cook. They've got one of the best receivers in college football in Luther Burden. It's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a big test for both of these teams, but I think I'm kind of with you. I think I like Missouri in this spot to go down there and maybe make some noise. I obviously have never been to Kyle Field. Some people tell you it's the best environment, it's the toughest environment. Other people say it's overrated, it's not the toughest. It's certainly a good environment, but it's definitely not the best environment. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, bright and early SEC football. Kyle Field is great, but I think it's not going to be the best Kyle Field that there is because it's 11 a.m. start. So they're not going to get the best they have to offer.
Sure, I'm with you on that. So that's the only 11 a.m. kickoff in the SEC. Again, that game's going to be on ABC. Right when that one completes on ABC, we'll have Auburn at Georgia. Now, Georgia, they're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go after the way they lost that game to Alabama. They were able to come back in the second half, make it a unbelievable game. I mean, I think there were a lot of people last Saturday night watching that game in the second quarter going, oh, man, this is a snoozer. I mean, Alabama has shown up. They've looked great, but Georgia doesn't look like they can compete here. You know, let's flip the channel. Let's go watch something else. And then in the second half, here comes Georgia, and they, come really close to coming back and winning that game. So now Georgia turns around and has to face maybe the second worst team in the SEC.
Who's their quarterback? Who is quarterback for Auburn right now? Is it still Peyton Thorne?
I think they are going to go with Peyton
Is
Thorne.
it Hunter Brown? Is it Walker White?
I think they're going to go with Peyton Thorne. I think. I don't think you can throw either of those young guys out there. I think you got to go with Peyton Thorne.
At Georgia.
That's what I'm saying.
I think we see second half Carson Beck, and it's just a absolute massacre.
Yeah. I mean, this Auburn team's just not good, and it starts at the quarterback position. I saw when they announced that they were going to start Hunter Brown, it was right before they played New Mexico. And I saw all these tweets and all these posts and everybody talking about, oh, this kid's great. He's going to come out there and he's going to give them, a new, vision at quarterback. And this is the quarterback of the future.
What Auburn fans and SEC fans didn't know, New Mexico is a turnstile on defense.
Yes, they don't have a defense. And so he looked great. He looked fine in that game. But you kind of saw, if you really watched that game closely, there were some plays that, the receivers made a great play or, there were missed tackles defensively or blown coverage. And you're kind of going, I don't know. And I even said it that next week when they played Arkansas he was good in that last game, but I think when he plays a defense, he's going to struggle. And sure enough, he goes out there against Arkansas and throws 3 interceptions. I didn't think it was going to be that many interceptions, but that's what we got, and they had to immediately go back to Peyton Thorne. And now you go up against Georgia, one of the best teams in the country. There's so many people, and I would agree with them, that best 2 teams in the country right now are Alabama and Georgia. And I think you saw that in that game, and I think they're going to meet again at least one more time, maybe a couple more times before the season's over with the SEC championship and then maybe even a meeting in the playoffs. You got to go on the road to face that team. I don't think there's any chance for Auburn this weekend.
Yeah, not at all. I think that, Carson Beck was horrible in the first half. I think we see the same Carson Beck that we saw the second half against Alabama.
This entire game.
The entire game. And I think that Georgia 22 points is not even not even good enough at all.
Okay. Other 2:30 game in the SEC is the game that Brett will be at tomorrow. Ole Miss on the road against South Carolina. We know, we talked about it a lot this week from the Ole Miss perspective, what that game was on Saturday, how much it hurt. I mean, we talked about it last week with Memphis about, nobody had a loss to Navy drawn up. There were a lot of ways the season could have panned out in the preseason when people were making predictions for the Tigers. A lot of people had a loss to Florida State. Some people had a loss to Tulane. Some people had a loss to USF. There were ways that the season went where losses came into play. Nobody had an equation that included a loss against Navy. And I think it's the same thing with Ole Miss where nobody had a loss coming against Kentucky. There were ways for losses to be in play. Not against Kentucky, though.
Not at all. I had Kentucky losing to Vanderbilt later this year in my picks.
Hey, still could happen.
Could happen.
Diego Pavi's got the juice. But I think Ole Miss is going to be ready to go this weekend. I think, I just think that this team knows what the expectations were before the season. I think they know how talented they are, and I think they're going to come out ready to rock and fire this weekend against South Carolina. I'm curious what South Carolina looks like coming off an off week, and who starts at quarterback. Is it old Bob Ashford, or is it Lenore Sellers? And if Lenore Sellers is healthy enough, certainly they will start him, but it's all on if the young quarterback is healthy or not. He's looked good. Lenore Sellers has. He's looked okay. He certainly has had some growing pains. Now injury has kind of thrown a wrench into that puzzle. But, 9.5, I'm kind of with – I've been going back and forth. This is a game we're going to pick during Friday Football Forecast, so I don't want to give away my pick for this one. But I went back and forth for a really long time on, do I think Ole Miss is just going to come out fired up for this game, ready to go, ready to prove that they're a much better team than they showed against Kentucky and blow South Carolina out on the road? Or is it going to be a road environment, a tough road environment South Carolina has, and South Carolina plays this game close and keeps it within that 10 points?
Yeah, I think Ole Miss, after what they just showed, which was not great offensively, they've been the best offensive team arguably this whole year, although they've played nobody.
Sure.
I think that they come back and destroy. I think there's no chance. I think South Carolina has no chance, even at home. I'm not lying.
Well, I'd hope you're not lying, but we'll see. We'll see with that one. 2:30, and again, Ole Miss and South Carolina will have the coverage of that game right here on Sports 56. 3:15 on SEC Network. Alabama on the road against Vanderbilt. Connor, you anchor down with the best of them. I like to say I anchor down with the best of them. We are an anchor down show. Can Vanderbilt keep it close?
I anchor down with the best of them.
You do.
But I think 23.5 is a little short. I think that's a little low.
Yeah.
That's a little
this Alabama team's good.
They're not helping Vanderbilt at all.
They're now number 1 in the country for a reason.
But all I got to say about this game, Alabama, you're next.
Please. Here's the thing. I was surprised that Bruce said this has been moving down in favor of Vanderbilt. That started about 24.5 or closer to 25, and now it's moved down to, what is it now, 22, I guess?
Mine says 23.5.
Okay, 23. So now it's moving back up to Alabama. So maybe more money's coming in on Alabama right now as we get closer to kickoff. I don't know.
Alabama was up 33-0 on Georgia's defense.
But I think the idea here is that
they're all hyped up on the Georgia win.
That was first off, they get up by so much, but then the tension that came down to the end of the game, that was such a big game. You put everything into that game, and then you look on your schedule the next week, and it's Vanderbilt. And so maybe they come out and go, oh, yeah, we just got done beating Georgia. We're gonna be able to win this game with our hands tied behind our back. And, they just get a little lackadaisical out there. And, like Bruce said, maybe Vanderbilt can, kind of backdoor cover and, just barely get a cover here. I don't think they come anywhere close to winning the game, but maybe they can cover. I don't know. I
think Jalen Milroe could throw it to Ryan Williams 50 times and they win.
And have 50 receptions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will be. I think Alabama rolls in that one. 6:30, Tennessee on the road against Arkansas. Tennessee 4-0 on the season. They're coming off a bye week. This game on ABC. Can Arkansas keep it close? Arkansas has played better, especially offensively. They've looked better this season. Taylor Green's looked really good at quarterback. It feels like they've got some wide receivers that are stepping up and making plays, but on the other side, Nico's looked really good this year. It's been, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing or just maybe whatever. Nico hasn't been put in a situation yet where he's really under pressure and has to make plays. It's kind of been easy for Nico so far. I mean, if the pass isn't working, hand the ball off. The run game's been working. If the run game's not working, pass the ball. The defense has been great and hasn't, has really limited opposing teams from putting points on the board.
I think if Oklahoma didn't rattle him a ton, I think he can go to Arkansas, to Fayetteville, and and take 13.5.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think on the road against Arkansas, I think Fayetteville's going to be buzzing for this one. I think they can cover it. I think Tennessee can cover, but who knows? Maybe Arkansas can put up some points against that defense. And, we'll see what happens with that one on ABC. The final SEC game of the weekend, UCF on the road against Florida. Billy Napier, this could be an important one for you. I don't think the big money boosters at Florida would like it very much if the Gators lost at home to the Knights of UCF. But right now, UCF, a 1.5-point favorite on the road. This Florida team has looked out of sorts all year. Obviously a tough schedule. Can they get a win at home and Billy Napier stay alive another game? I mean, it feels like we're on week 3 of next loss, Billy Napier's out.
I'm baffled that UCF is favored in this game.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
They're 3-1. They have beaten nobody.
Let's see who they beat.
TCU is the best win. They beat New Hampshire. Sam Houston's good.
Oh, Sam Houston's good.
Okay.
They're
good. But Sam Houston, TCU, and New Hampshire?
Yeah.
And got drilled by Colorado last week?
Yeah. Got beat by 20. 27, actually. Yeah. So maybe Florida here.
I'm 100% betting on Florida this weekend.
Wow. I mean, I think right now, Billy Napier back against the wall. I'm telling you, you lose tomorrow to UCF.
He's out. He's out 100%.
He's not going to have a job Monday.
There's no chance.
No way you lose at home to UCF if you're Florida.
No chance.
No way.
I have no idea how this got to UCF being favored.
I don't either. I guess that's just how bad people think Florida is.
They know something. They have to know something.
Maybe they know something. I don't know. Maybe. But that's the weekend in the SEC. Some good matchups and only one game at 11, but then we really get into it starting at 2:30 with some fun games. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Five Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah?
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
Lots of our fans have gone to see Genesis Diamonds, and they are amazed. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis is fast becoming the go-to place for people here when it comes to engagement rings and fine designer jewelry. They also have a ton of luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Genesis guarantees the best diamond prices, period. They are a direct diamond importer with no middleman, which means incredible value for you. Genesis turned the old-school jewelry business model upside down with slimmer margins, more selection, no commission salespeople, and stronger warranties. They have every diamond you can imagine, natural and lab-grown diamonds in every shape and every size. Genesis has thousands of designer engagement rings from top designers that you won't find at other stores. And keep this in mind with the holidays around the corner. Genesis has case after case of incredible diamond fashion rings, diamond eternity bands, diamond earrings, diamond necklaces, colored gemstones at every possible price point. All of this in a beautiful new showroom with great local experts who will teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. Genesis Diamonds, you will love it at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Now, back to Sportstime on
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
the big number of the day.
All right, my big number today comes from Major League Baseball, and it is the number 5. 5. How about this big number? Shohei Ohtani finished the 2024 regular season in the top 5 in MLB in runs, which he was first in runs. Hits, he was fourth in hits. Home runs, he was second in home runs. RBI, he was second in RBI. Walks, he was fourth in walks. And stolen bases, he was second. So top 5 for the MLB in runs, hits, home runs, RBI, walks, and stolen bases. Just a really remarkable season from Shohei Ohtani. His first season with the Los Angeles Dodgers. No one has ever finished a season in the top 5 in MLB in all of these categories since RBI became an official stat in 1920. So some really, really crazy stuff here. I think we have Brett with us now. Brett,
Brett.
Brett, welcome.
I'm glad to be with you.
Wow.
Safe and sound.
How was the flight?
It was great. Just in time for my big number. You ready?
I'm ready for it. Hit me with it.
It is 140.
Okay.
UCF, only team in college football to rush for 140 yards or more in the last 17 games. They got to do that tomorrow at the Swamp.
Sure do. That's incredible. We've talked about that a lot today, how mind-blowing it is that Florida is an underdog at home to UCF tomorrow.
And also, I think it's surprising that Gus Malzahn, when he came on the college football scene from his story, it was razzmatazz and all the 5 wide and hurrying to the line of scrimmage, and he has learned in a great college football coaching career and life. You got to run the ball.
You got to run the ball. Absolutely. And they've had success with that this year.
You can't out-trick people.
No, you absolutely can't. And so we'll see if they can do that. Now, here's the question, Brett, and we were kind of talking about this earlier. If UCF walks into the Swamp tomorrow and gets a win, is that it for Billy Napier?
Boy, every week feels like that's
sure
it for
does.
Billy Napier, doesn't it?
Sure does.
And administration and him, locker room, you can't exist like that.
No.
You can't be that out there is is on an edge like that. But it probably would be it for him. And we'll get to it when we get to our picks, and that's going to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game that UCF has long wanted there. They have met. But it could really inflict damage if they got that win.
No, it absolutely could. I've got one more big number that I will bring up from the NFL last night, the Thursday night football game between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. This big number is the number 500. How about this nugget? Kirk Cousins didn't throw one pass last night for the Atlanta Falcons while the team was ahead on the scoreboard. He is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 500 or more yards and lead his team to a victory without throwing a single pass with his team ahead on the scoreboard.
Yeah, Doug Kazarian had the Falcons yesterday with us. He texted me early today, better be lucky than good. And I texted back to him, why is it always a bad beat? There were a lot of really good wins last night.
That's right.
Having the Falcons. They should have never been in that game. It should have been sealed late in the game by Tampa Bay. But you leave the door open, and especially a pro team, they're going to seize it. And I think the upper levels of college football, maybe all of it, but for sure Big Ten, SEC, it's similar to pro football in the players, how you're trying to play it down to the end of the game. The margin for error is so small.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it absolutely is. And we saw that again last night in what was a really, really great Thursday night football game. Kind of gave you everything you wanted. And I think two teams that, I don't want to sit here right now and say that, one of these teams is going to the playoffs, but I do think they're going to be a scary team all year that nobody wants to face because I think they can be in a competitive game with just about anybody the way both of these teams have been playing. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. When we come back, we got to talk some Arkansas football. Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith will join us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Yes, it's official. Crab King's Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and the biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab King's is #1. So don't be disappointed in seafood. Make the right choice the first time and every time. Make it Crab King's. Crab King's have only locally grown catfish. Come and devour tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, catfish, calamari, and so much more. Enjoy Memphis's best tasting pasta with your choice of toppings. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. Crab King's is open Wednesday through Sunday. Enjoy 50% off lunch portions and dollar fountain drinks. The #1 name in Cajun seafood is Crab King's Seafood, a Memphis favorite. Crab King's, 7140 Stage Road. King's with the Z.
Sometimes you just want the naked facts, like the fun that comes from a quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This naked-style street bike sports a narrow 471cc twin, along with a sleek TFT display, dual-disc front brakes, and standard ABS, all at an affordable price. Find fun in all the right places in the 2024 Honda CB500F. Available at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Women Road in Olive Branch.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Harriet jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Wrapping up that wreck on 240 East just past Mill Branch. It's been slow over here from that earlier crash. Speaking of slow, it is really heavy and slow out in Fayette County on I-40 East and westbound. Around the 42-mile marker, there's been an accident out there. It's got traffic bogged down on the interstate pretty good. If you'd like to help the hurricane flood victims in East Tennessee and western North Carolina, donate now to the American Red Cross. Check out their website for more information at redcross.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again, our Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
You say you stand by your man.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios as we start this 5 o'clock hour, brought to you every single day by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. But we got to talk the Razorbacks. They dropped another one last week on the road, or I guess on neutral site in Dallas against Texas A&M. This week hosting Tennessee. So let's go ahead and get to Ty Richardson.
Time to talk Razorbacks on Sports Time. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Ty, we missed you last week. How was everything with the wedding last week?
Man, it was great. Little sister was happy. That's the most important thing. But
That's
I'm
right.
telling you, Bryant, Brett, all I was thinking about is wanting to talk to my two guys at 5 o'clock as she's walking down the aisle.
We missed you.
We sure did.
We missed you,
Give me back, boys.
and I was glad you had to avoid Jerry's World, and your tweet said it all. That series, every single game played out the same way. Arkansas could have won every one of those games they lost. You would have thought it would have evened out and they'd have won more than they did. Man, in the rearview mirror, eat the Razorbacks dust, Jerry's World.
Yeah, stats, pain. And I made the dumb executive decision to fly back early the Saturday morning of my sister's wedding and say, you know what, they're going to win this Final One, right? It'll be worth it to get up at 5 a.m. post sister's wedding and fly back to Dallas and have a lay-in in Vegas, right? Wrong. Arkansas once again just finds a way, as you said, to lose this game. And Texas A&M, I know they're favored against Missouri this weekend, and they've got a good defense. Elko's done a good job in year one, but nothing about that team scares you offensively, and I know they're trying to figure it out under Marcel Reed. But man, another choke job by Arkansas, unfortunately, guys.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Ty, the thing I've noticed about this Arkansas team, whether it's win or losses this season, it feels like we haven't seen them play a complete game. You go back to that game against Oklahoma State. They played extremely well to start the game, but then in that fourth quarter just gave it all up. UAB and Auburn, it was really slow starts, and then late in the second half they were able to turn it on and get those wins. Kind of same thing against Texas A&M where they come out hot. They put up 14 points in the first quarter, and then the next time they score is a field goal in the fourth quarter. What have you seen in terms of this team trying to play a complete game and kind of spread some of that scoring throughout all four quarters?
Well, I think for Arkansas, Bobby Petrino, Bryant, he's known for second half adjustments, and those haven't necessarily come. And then, Tennessee-wise, I mean, the 7-8-3 start, that's rough. So if Arkansas gets behind tomorrow night, it's going to get ugly. And it's going to get ugly on national television on ABC at 6:30. So it's maybe even worse because it's amplified. So you're just hoping Arkansas can have a consistent offensive game and then maybe stop Tennessee early. Here's the important stat about tomorrow. Tennessee hadn't trailed all season in 4 games.
Wow.
Now, you can say that, the competition, NC State's maybe not as good as people thought they were initially. You can say what you want about why am I blanking on who else Tennessee's played? Oklahoma. They don't have an offense. And Arkansas, I think, can get, if they get it going offensively, they have an offense. But, I mean, you still got a redshirt freshman quarterback that's playing in his second SEC game, guys. That's on the road, and he's never trailed before in a game. So how does Nico, I'm going to try to say his last name, react if Arkansas somehow does get a lead tomorrow night? I think that changes everything if Arkansas can get off to a fast start.
Yeah, Ty, I think Tennessee's probably thinking, let's run the ball, play defense, keep it really cozy for him. And the Razorbacks have to make it uncozy for you. Norman was tough. Fayetteville at kickoff will be tougher than OU was at kickoff.
Yeah, I hope so, Pat. And I think about, Oklahoma was obviously awfully amped up for that game with Josh Heupel returning home, a place that he was subsequently fired, a place that he won a national championship, a place I would guess he calls home or has called home outside now in Knoxville. But for Arkansas, this is the first time that Tennessee's coming to town since 2020. You've won 3 straight in Fayetteville. Yes, you blew it against A&M again last week, but guys, I got 20-something friends in town this weekend. This is the game that they selected to come up to. So not Texas, this one. So, I mean, you got a top 5 team coming in your building. There's no reason that this team shouldn't be motivated tomorrow night.
And Ty, this was the game that Game Day had selected, and you think you're irritated, and you think Razorback fans are irritated. How about the Game Day crew that's driving across the country from Tuscaloosa to Berkeley? You know they wanted to originate tomorrow morning from Fayetteville more than they did Berkeley for the U and Cal.
Even Reese Davis made reference to it last college game day. It's like, man, that's a
Sure
good
did.
game. And he was basically like, wink, wink, touch, touch. We might be here next weekend. And then Arkansas, as they usually do. So aggravating, so frustrating, but typical Razorbacks. All they had to do, Stats, was win, and your prediction would have come to a great fruition. It would have just come perfectly true. Instead, we saw what they did in Jerry World once again.
Yeah, I felt really good about both the Oklahoma State and Texas A&M games, and then you get both of those agonizing finishes. I have the same finish, and I've had it all summer. Now, when I picked this Arkansas over Tennessee in the summer, I was really looking for a Tennessee loss. I was kind of lost looking. I don't know how much I believed it then, and I don't know how much I believe it now, Ty. When we do our picks at 5:30, I'm going to go with it plus the points. I might even go with it straight up to be determined. I've got to think about that one a little bit longer. But we've seen so much of these for Sam Pittman. How many more narrow losses can he lose? And it feels like one blowout, and that really slams the door shut.
Yeah, Seth, we kind of made the joke. Tom and I did this week. It's like, hey, when does basketball season officially start? Well, it starts, guys. If they get rocked by Tennessee tomorrow night, you got a bye week. All this talking is going to fester. I personally think they're going to beat LSU, being a night game, being that LSU's not nearly as good as they typically are. But there's going to be a lot of people that are like, all right, when's that Kansas exhibition game? When are we going to Fort Worth? Hey, what's that New York game against Michigan? These are things that will get talked about amongst sports talk radio fans across our state, and then we'll see what happens. I want to keep talking football. I want this to be a game. We got a lot of Memphis, Tennessee Volunteer fans listening right now that are hoping the same way. And then we got Arkansas fans that still think they can win. So I guess we'll see what happens when the two go at it tomorrow night.
25th anniversary or 25th celebration of the 1999 Arkansas team with Clint Sterner throwing the winning touchdown to Anthony Lucas in that south end zone. That was a Pyrrhic victory because we know what happened to Clint Sterner the year before at Knoxville. Would tomorrow night an upset of Tennessee, I know it's not the stakes they were playing for that day on Rocky Top at Neyland, and it would have derailed Tennessee winning their last football national championship, but would tomorrow, putting that first loss on Tennessee, would it go a long way to really kickstarting the 25th anniversary of the 99 win? The 98 loss is one everybody's trying to atone for.
Yeah, David Barrett picks up that pass early, and then things got rocking and rolling in Donald W. that day. I'm sure you were there, or at least watching it on TV. Arkansas and Tennessee have had some great games. 99 is the one we all want to forget. I still remember telling Sean McDonough, it's like, John, everyone remembers you here for the wrong reasons. Yeah, Arkansas fans, they don't love me because of that call. He's just doing his job. But yeah, I think people like the nostalgia. I don't know if you're aware, but Hawks Plus, Arkansas's kind of in-house media outlet, came out with the Redemption movie this week, and they're playing around. You mentioned the anniversary. Funny enough, guys, I just saw Felix Jones in the Sam's parking lot. He's promoting Tyson Razorback Nuggets, and Arkansas beat Tennessee in 2006. Him, Darren, Peyton Hillis ran wild when College Game Day was actually in town. So they're trying to bring people back. First time in 3 weeks. Game's been in Fayetteville, and they want to keep this thing going with 5 of the next 7 at home.
Ty, you mentioned this Tennessee team, and more specifically Nico, and just how good this team's played. It hasn't felt like he's had any pressure on him yet. He hasn't had to go through any of those games where team's trailing and he has to make a play. How does Arkansas's defense make it tough for the freshman quarterback? Does it start with that defensive line trying to get pressure in the backfield? Does it start with the secondary with pass breakups and trying to get a couple INTs? How can the defense capitalize on a young quarterback?
Brian, you got to stop the run, man, because you guys were kind of alluded to earlier. If they get running, they're just going to rest on their defense and rest on that running game, and it's over. It's curtains, man. This game's done. But if they stop the run and they're like, all right, you got to beat us on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, maybe we bring an extra linebacker or something, then you see this kid. But, again, I think the most important stat in this game, and the ball's had trailed all year, you've got to put Nico I can't try and say it, in a situation where he's uncomfortable. Not just like when he's on the field and he's got rushers coming at him, but he's like, man, this is an SEC town for sure. And Oklahoma defensively, give them credit, they made some plays. Their offense didn't. It's going to rest on the shoulders of Taylor Green. He did not have a good showing in Fayetteville 3 weeks ago. This is his first SEC home game. We'll see if it's any different than his home debut.
What do you think Taylor Green's best throw has been? What's the route, the combination that he likes the best?
It's not the deep ball. He short-armed a lot of those stats. It's not like a simple. I think it's just rolling out of the pocket, him making plays, and the comeback route. Like when guys are coming back to the ball, or we saw him find Isaac Tesla on that deep one. They showed the stat. He's like 65% when outside the pocket, and I think 56 when he's inside. So it's usually the opposite for guys. But for Taylor Green, he seems to thrive better when he has to kind of makeshift the situation. And I think Bobby Petrino, one of the things that's important when remembering Taylor Green is like Tyler Wilson, 2 years under the system, Ryan Mallett 1 year under the system. Then they played. Taylor's he's in year 1, and he's already on game 6. It's really difficult to understand that offense, and I feel for him because I think Arkansas fans are bashing him too much for what he hasn't necessarily done so far in nearly half the year.
Yeah, I think it's a little noisier than it should be on him, but I did think he would be a smidge better than he's been. What has surprised me is still some of the poor judgment throws, and he had one last week, and Petrino lit him up.
Yeah, that is a classic vintage Petrino. Now, I'll give him this. Tyrone Broden didn't come back to the ball at all, which, of course, the A&M defensive back jumped in front of it. But that's been an Arkansas thing. It's not just him. Jaquinton Jackson, who leads the SEC in rushing, I believe, for second, he keeps fumbling the football. So that's an issue, too. And I'm just hoping that they don't have those issues tomorrow night because, guys, start the bus. Mm-hmm. And by the bus, I mean start the Tennessee bus to go back to Knoxville because if they turn the ball over, this game could get ugly quick.
Yeah. Ty, what have you made of Andrew Armstrong this year? I mean, has turned into one of the favorite receivers, and you look at what he did last year: 764 yards already through 4 games, 420 yards. He hasn't found the end zone yet, though. What have you made of the senior wide receiver?
He's a dude, man. He's their only surefire NFL wide receiver, and he's a guy that I've really enjoyed watching play. And I just hope he continues on the trajectory. I thought he might clear 1,000 yards. I don't know if he's necessarily going to do that, but I've really enjoyed watching him play, Brian.
Yeah, he's been really fun.
And the tight end Luke has, will he be 100% tomorrow?
He is stats. So Pushka is doubtful. Has and Washington, I think, are questionable. If I remember the SEC report, and I think Hudson Clark is probable. So their tight end is about as thin as it's been since Sam Pippen's been here from an injury standpoint, which is, scary because they already have enough issues pass blocking when it comes to just normal rushers, and now that you don't have anybody that can chip and stuff, it's a little scary.
Yeah. Ty, you mentioned if a loss tomorrow, and if it's not really a competition with an off week next week, that a lot of people start turning their eyes to basketball. How much talk has there been? We're now a month away from the basketball season. You've got that exhibition against Kansas. 21 days from now? What has the hype been around this basketball season with Cal in there already? Has that started building even though football season's still rolling?
Oh, yeah. Cal talked for, I think, 40 minutes with the media this week. The Kansas game you alluded to was his tickets have been grabbed up pretty quick. I don't know if it's a sellout yet, but I think when it's all said and done, you'll have about 17,000, 18,000 in the building for an exhibition game, mind you. Not a real college basketball, an exhibition game. And that's what he brings, man. And I know there's a lot of people listening right now that hate his guts. and I understand. If I was a Memphis Tiger fan, I'd probably hate his guts too. Heck, I hated his guts for 15 years, but now he resides in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I'm hoping he can do what Nolan Richardson did back in the day, stats, and that's bring one home to the fellas.
Well, it's my theory about everybody out there in sports. It's the son-in-law theory. You're really proud of your son-in-law.
I love
That's
it.
true.
That's it. I've not heard that before, Stats. I'm gonna credit you, but I'm definitely gonna use that on our show.
You know, a lot of people kind of misuse this next statement. Some say behind every man stands a strong woman. I think it's different than that. I think behind every man comes a shocked mother-in-law.
Oh man,
I like that.
It's always fun to see the dynamics with in-laws. I'm lucky where my sisters get along with their in-laws, and my brother-in-laws get along with my parents. But yeah, that's not always the case with the with the blended families, is it, guys?
Yeah, it's always a fragile piece. Ty Richardson, our good friend with us from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith, covers the Razorbacks, covers the SEC. So those expectations for John Calipari, there's not anybody saying Final Four or bust, is it?
Well, I may or may not have my Wi-Fi set at San Antonio 2025. Coincidentally, where the Final Four
He's
is
got
next
some
year.
bad memories from San Antonio. Trust us.
True.
Oh, yeah, that would have been Derrick Rose.
Oh, wait.
Chris
That's
Douglas.
right.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Jeez, man, that team was so good.
Yep.
Lost it.
Scarred
Funny
Bryant's
enough.
childhood. Look what it did to
Yeah,
Bryant.
it did. Made me very pessimistic about anything.
Funny enough, the guy he's going to play in this first game is Bill Self in Kansas. But, yeah, I think, expectation for me, if they get to a second weekend, first year, I think it's good. They've got talent. John L. Davis, Jonas Adu, which, crazy enough, first SEC game in Knoxville. That's going to be a welcoming party. They already hate Cal. Now they probably hate Jonas Adu, too. So this is a year, and he kind of, I'm not going to say he sandbagged this week, but he's like, he basically alluded to, and I'm paraphrasing, it's like, we're probably going to drop some early games. And, like, I hope fans don't just, like, rip him a new one because they're non-conference schedule, guys, between the exhibition games in Dallas and against Kansas and Michigan and some of these other marquee games. I mean, it's tough. So he's scheduled intentionally that way, and now we'll see if his team comes to perform when it matters, which occurs kind of the middle of March.
Ty, we talk about it a lot. I don't know that you could, even on North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, I'm trying to think of one or two more. I'd throw UCLA just in there from what they did, a long time ago. I don't think you can even put on them win it all or bust. I think that group, maybe with the exception of UCLA now, I think that's the Final Four or Elite Eight, or it's a poor year. But I think for most people, the great majority of college basketball, you say Sweet 16, everybody knows that's a good year. Now we're trying to figure out what's the good year in college football. Is it just making the playoffs? I don't know that would be enough for Ohio State or Alabama, but for most of the rest of us, and some of us that had those dreams in August that are now not dreaming that, you make it just to the playoffs. That's a good year for most normal teams.
I think so. For example, Ole Miss. I had Ole Miss as the playoff team before the season, and I know they stumbled last week to Kentucky, but they're still much in the running for that spot. They're even if they don't wind up in Atlanta for the SEC championship, two, maybe even three losses, they could still be in the college football playoff. And I think
you really think a three-loss team from the SEC could get in? I don't. I think it's borderline arrogant on our part in the SEC, me included. I'm talking first person to think a three-team SEC team, a lost team, could get in.
Well, I think there's a couple things that have to happen. One, Ohio State would have to be the only team from the Big Ten that, they win. I think Oregon's probably that other team, but I don't know how many other Big Ten teams are like, man, that's a college football playoff team. I will say this, stats, to your point, the SEC didn't do itself any favor the first 2 or 3 weeks of football.
It hadn't.
They lost a lot. I think we were talking about this, Brian, stats. Like, they lost a lot of non-conference games, and you were kind of like, huh? Now, the big dogs won, like Clemson thudded Georgia, Georgia thudded Clemson. Alabama went up to Madison and just wiped them clean. But there were some other ones you're kind of like, didn't expect that. And it's not about just like it's the body of work when I think college football playoff committee looks at the end of the season. So I'm curious how much they weigh into that the first 3 weeks.
The Arkansas loss to Oklahoma State and the Auburn loss to Cal, that really does a lot of damage to the whole depth talk. You can't put it on Mississippi State. The Florida loss to the U. A&M's lost to Notre Dame, and we see that Notre Dame is just kind of pedestrian.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I'm pumped, guys. I get to go see Notre Dame in South Bend for the first time ever next month on Arkansas's bye. I've never been to that campus. It's college football dream, so I'm going to take that in. But no, you're right. I mean, those are and LSU and USC. That's another one, guys. I mean, I expect LSU to cover when Lincoln Riley didn't want to play the SEC, but guys, he showed up. They won the game, and props to him. Even though they lost to Michigan later on, that they won that football game in Vegas.
Ty, that weekend, only if you can. If you can't, we sure don't want to impose on you. But if you could join us that Friday from South Bend, from the parking lot, and I've never been, but it is close to the top of my college football bucket list. I want you to join us from the parking lot of the bar in South Bend called the Linebacker.
I love that you went right there, Stats, because I will. The guy that I'm actually with this weekend, he married into a Notre Dame family, and he said it's his birthday weekend that weekend. Said, guys, we're only going to one bar that weekend, the Linebacker. So you have a signed, sealed, and delivered promise for me right now at about 5:20 here in the middle or the beginning of October. Stats, I will be there. The only thing that's going to prevent me with coming on you guys the rest of the season is another wedding, and I don't have one for the end of the year on December 31st. So I think we're good in that category.
Now, you also know FCC guidelines. Watch that median blood alcohol content when you join us from the Linebacker.
That's right.
Oh yeah, no, we got to make sure that this is a pre-entrance conversation.
That's right.
And then post it goes after that.
Because we're a family show.
That's right.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
Brian and Stats family here on Sportstime.
That's right. But once you're done with us, and there's no rules.
Bottoms up.
So, yeah, go crazy. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully, we get a great one tomorrow between Tennessee and Arkansas. We'll do it again next week.
You got it. Stats, enjoy Columbia. Have a corn dog for me out there.
I will. Thank you, good friend. See you, man.
Thanks, Ty.
See you, buddy.
Ty Richardson joining us to talk Arkansas football. Are the Corn Dogs good in South Carolina? What's up with the Corn Dogs?
Well, the LSU gets derided for that. I like a corn dog.
I love a corn dog.
Brian, in all seriousness, and you know what time we landed. I texted you, and then it took forever, and here's the reason why. The power company, big utility trucks are everywhere. I was told Columbia's up now to about 70%.
Oh, wow.
And everything kind of to the north and west of here, it's really worse that direction.
Wow.
But there's still just power, and it's nothing compared to Asheville, North Carolina, and in that area.
Well, I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, still a lot of places that are still really just trying to start recovering from that hurricane last week. And
people just wanting lights and running water.
That's insane. Very, very insane. Definitely still praying for all those people out there. But before we get to a break, let me remind you the weekend is here, and it's a great time to go check out the vehicles at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the 2025 Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635 horsepower. And it's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Also, take a look at the 2025 Range Rover Velar. Powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully controlled entertainment system, the 2025 Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Also, don't forget about the 2025 Defender, available in multiple models to fit your need. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call today at 877-259-6169. That's 877-259-6169, or go online to JaguarBluffCity.com. Let's get to another break, and when we come back, will be time for our Friday football forecast.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hello, sports fans out there. Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just celebrated our 43rd year in business, and I would like to thank our fantastic customers and especially our loyal staff. Time has flown by. We now have a second location, Poplar and Houston Levy in Collierville. Catering is a specialty of ours. 50 to 5,000, no job too small, no job too big. Full service or self-service. We also have a party room in Collierville that is great for rehearsal dinners, business meetings, you name it, we'd love to have you. Also, our barbecue party packs start at $8.75 a person. Barbecue, beans, slaw, bun sauce, including serving utensils. Especially great for tailgating with football season coming up. The commissary restaurants also believe in giving back to the community. Possibly you have been approached by somebody selling a barbecue six-pack coupon for fundraising. Cheerleading groups, church groups, anything to help a worthy cause. Holidays are near. Smoked hams and smoked turkeys will be on the pit before you know it. Come see us at Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Also check us out at commissarybarbecue.com.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and clean quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway in the Parkplace Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Tennessee Highway Patrol has their hands full with a terrible wreck in Fayette County right now on 40 westbound at the 42-mile marker, but it has it a little bit slow out through there in the eastbound lanes as well. That's out in Fayette County right now in that serious wreck. Still some volume over here on 240 as you get on to 385 Billmores Parkway going outbound. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area for well over 40 years. Stop by and see them this weekend. Shop local, save a ton of money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life.
And now firmly in West Tennessee with those offices, like I said, on Ridge Lake and in Collierville, and growing, where customer confidence is the cornerstone, whether it's in West Tennessee or in Eastern Arkansas since 1886. Let's get into these games, and it starts with the game where I will be tomorrow, 2:30 on ABC. Ole Miss minus 9.5 on the road at South Carolina. Ole Miss leads the all-time series 9-8. The very first meeting between these two teams came back in 1947. Whoa. Coach Vaught's first year at Ole Miss with a quarterback named Charlie Connerly at Crump Stadium, 33-0 Ole Miss. Ole Miss hadn't won at Columbia since 2004. That was the Ethan Flatt-led comeback that day with the winning throw to Bill Flowers. 13 of the 17 meetings decided by 7 points or less. South Carolina forced 9 turnovers through the first 4 games, second in the SEC in creating turnovers. South Carolina holding opponents to 17 points per game. The last time Ole Miss played here, 2009. Can you believe you're in the same league and you hadn't played somebody since 2009? And that was on a heartbreaking Thursday night when Ole Miss ran out on the field that night, ranked 4th or 5th, and ended up getting the loss. And the night Sandstorm was born as the rally song at South Carolina. Bryant, you start us off. Ole Miss laying 9.5 on the road at South Carolina.
We're going to go out on a limb here, and we're going to take Ole Miss to cover this spread. We went against Ole Miss last week, and it worked out for us with Kentucky. Obviously, Kentucky getting the outright win, but I do think that Ole Miss is going to have a little fire to them coming out this week. South Carolina, we'll see who is the starting quarterback. We'll see what they look like after an off week, but I do think I'm just backing on Ole Miss, just being really frustrated about that loss last week and wanting to come out with something to prove, so I'll take them minus the 9.5.
Connor.
I agree. I think Ole Miss comes out hot after a loss to Kentucky.
2 well-known Ole Miss lapdogs, the Dacus brothers.
That's right, yes.
Ole Miss homers all the way.
Right, yeah.
All your friends can attest to this, right?
They all know it. They all know that I bleed the red and blue of Ole Miss.
Nobody that knows y'all believes that. But both y'all take the Rebels laying the 9.5. Darian takes South Carolina, and I'm going to take South Carolina in those points. Ole Miss is going to win the game. But 9.5, if Ole Miss had won last week by 40, I think 9.5 would be too much. And with the heartbreaking loss, I still think too much. I'm going to go with the Rebs to win 31-28 and get that first win in the state capital of South Carolina, Columbia, since 2004 tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we talked with Ty a lot about it. 6:30 on ABC. They wanted game day to be there. Herbstreit and Fowler will be there. Long day for Kirk Herbstreit tomorrow with his flights and starting game day out in Berkeley. Tennessee, a 13.5-point favorite against the Razorbacks at Razorback Stadium. Arkansas can't ever get revenge for the Clint Sterner stumble in 1998. But tomorrow would go a long way in helping. 2 road trips in a row to the westernmost edge of the SEC for the Big Orange. Tennessee, one of 4 teams to never trail this year. Texas, Indiana, Army, the other 3. Texas, Indiana, and Army, the other 3. Josh Heupel, 8-1 in his coaching career after an open date. Arkansas seeking first home win over a top 5 team since 1999, 25 years ago, when they beat Tennessee when they got a smidge of revenge from the year before. I think tomorrow would be a lot of revenge, and a lot of players from those teams, including Clint Sterner, would really be happy to see the Razorbacks get the win. Bryant, you pick first.
I'm going to go with Tennessee in this one. I hope it's close. I hope it's a good game. But from everything I've seen from Tennessee, they look like the real deal. And Arkansas has struggled. Even though their offense has looked better, they've struggled. And I think this Tennessee defense is going to make it tough for Arkansas's offense. So I will take Nico and Tennessee minus the 13.5 to win this one pretty easily.
Connor, you're not going to be welcome back home tonight if both of y'all take Ole Miss and Tennessee. You're not going to do this, are you?
I had Tennessee minus 13.5 against Oklahoma. It didn't hit.
That's right.
I'm going Tennessee again minus 13.5
back to
at
the well.
Arkansas.
How about that?
Every friend of the Dacus brothers, all their lives, have said 2 homers for the Big Orange and for Ole Miss. They have been
GBO is the what I live by, Brett.
Since infancy, big Ole Miss Tennessee honks. Both of y'all never said once.
No.
I can't believe both of y'all have that. Darian takes the Razorbacks, and I'm going to do it. I've had it all summer just as a W for Arkansas in the preseason W's and L's. Arkansas is going to get one of these days, and let's see Nico really pressured. Razorbacks win a while when Gold Coast come down 27-24. Razorbacks win. 645 SEC Network, UCF minus 2.5 at Florida. I used it as my big number of the day, that rushing number. UCF been wanting this, and they're favored at the Swamp. 4th all-time meeting, 3-1 Gators in the previous meetings. 3-1. 5th all-time meeting, 3-1 Gators. First time ever for Billy Napier against Gus Malzahn. Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway are one of 4 quarterback tandems with 450-yard games for both of them. Texas, one of them, Arch and Ewers. Western Kentucky, NC State, the other one. I mentioned UCF, the only team in college football to rush for 140 or more in the last 17 games. This is the one UCF's wanted. What do you take, Connor?
I think me and Bryant spoiled it earlier. I have Florida plus 2.5.
He likes Florida big.
Bryant?
I'm going to go with UCF in this one. I think that, maybe this is it almost feels like the books are trying to get you to bet Florida in this one. They're at home. They're playing UCF. Connor brought up some good points. You look at who UCF has played. They've beaten a bunch of nobodies. The last time they played, they got drilled by Colorado. And so I think the sportsbooks are trying to tell you, take Florida plus money at home. You can get them. But I'm going to take UCF in this one, and it will be the last game we see Billy Napier as the head coach for Florida, because I don't think any booster is going to be thrilled at all if UCF walks into the Swamp and wins. This could be the final blow to Billy Napier.
They ought to propose pregame. If Florida wins this when UCF takes down that silly national championship stuff on the press box.
We're playing for the national championship.
You're saying the sports books are trying to get you to bet Florida. Well, that's what Darian and I do. We both take Florida. I've got the Gators winning 19-17. Darian's college football lock is Navy minus 9.5 in Colorado Springs over the Air Force. His college football shock is Stanford plus the 8.5 over Virginia Tech. Connor, your lock and shock.
My lock is Navy minus 5.5 also. Wow. And my shock is Michigan plus 1.5 at Washington.
Wow. All
Brian.
right. My lock is going to be Army minus 11.5.
Look at the Service Academy love.
TYFYS, Brett. Army has made it look easy all year long. Now going up against a Tulsa team that really hasn't showed me much of anything this year.
I'm
So
still
I'll take
trying
them.
to put the thank you for your service.
Bingo,
You
nailed
that's
it. So I'm going to take Army here. They've done a really good job of beating every opponent by double digits. I think they can do it again to Tulsa. They win by at least 2 touchdowns. My shock, I've been hinting at it all week long, Brett. We're just going to
shouting
try
it from the rooftops.
We're just going to try it, and I think this line's actually moved now because it was 7, and now I believe it's down to 6 or 6.5. I'm going to take.
You get the 7.5.
I'm going to take SMU plus the 7.5, and we'll give it a try. Give me a touchdown against Louisville. It's on the road, but this SMU team has looked better, and so I will take a stab at getting SMU.
I've talked about how much I've loved the Big 12 so far this year. I think it's fun. I don't know if it's great football, but I think it's entertaining and fun football. So I'm going to go with my lock with Arizona. That's right, they're in the Big 12. I'm going to lay the 6.5 over Texas Tech.
All right.
Well, I wonder what that total is because they may hit that by halftime, like the NFL game did last night. We were talking low scoring yesterday, Brian, and they had the over practically, mostly, by halftime. My college football shot, give me Baylor plus the 12.5 at Iowa State. I think Baylor upsets them 23-21. And if they don't, I'm going to get off of trying to go against Iowa State because I tried it with Arkansas State a few weeks ago, and they got walloped pretty good. NFL on Sunday, it starts early on NFL Network in London. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Tottenham?
Tottenham, that's right.
It is not Tottenham. It is Tottenham. It
Tottenham.
rolls.
That's right. It
okay.
rolls.
Hotspurs?
The Hotspurs. How about that, Brett? Yes. You nailed
Soccer
it.
guy, you know?
Oh, man.
It is
Everybody
soccer.
says
Not
it,
rugby?
Yes. No, it's soccer.
Okay.
It's soccer. Football, as they say.
Early Sunday morning at 8:30 in Tottenham. Favorites have excelled in these international games. Minnesota minus 2.5 over the Jets. 34-10-1, the favorite straight up. Against the spread, 30-15 in these international games. Aaron Rodgers, first time facing a Brian Flores defense. The Jets lead all time 8-4. First meeting had a matchup of head coaches of Bud Grant versus Weeb Ewbank. Weeb Ewbank got his Super Bowl with Joe Namath. Bud Grant never did, but he was a great coach. Brian.
I'm going to go with the Jets here. Minnesota has looked really good, undefeated to start the season, but we'll see what happens, and I'll take the Jets. Maybe that defense can give Sam Darnold some trouble, and so I'll take the Jets plus 2.5.
Darian takes Minnesota. I take the Jets plus the points to win 17-16. Connor.
It was real hard for me to pick against Aaron Rodgers, but I went with Minnesota.
Wow, okay.
Minnesota, it's down. It's recorded. Noon on CBS regular time. Baltimore minus 2.5 at Cincinnati. This is Heisman versus Heisman.
Right.
But Lamar's 4-1 in Heisman versus Heisman against Joe Burrow. Ravens first team in NFL history to outrush opponents by 100 yards. I wonder if Derrick Henry has anything to do with that, or more in each of the first 4 games. Baltimore leads all time 30-27. Speaking of Derrick Henry, 18 yards, and he goes over 10K for a career. First meeting in 1996, it was Vinny Testaverde versus Jeff Blake at quarterback. Give me Cincinnati. Joe Burrow's due one against Lamar. Cincinnati 24-21. Darian takes Baltimore. Connor.
I have Baltimore.
Wow.
Brian.
I'm going to take Baltimore as well.
Ooh.
So I think
lone wolf.
Well, yes, you are. But I think as long as it continues to work, I'm going to continue to back Baltimore and continue to fade Cincinnati. We'll see what happens.
7:20 on Sunday night, the big one. NBC Sunday Night Football. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth. That theme music. Those teams. Pittsburgh minus 2.5 over Dallas. Dallas leads the all-time series 17-16. But on Super Sunday, Pittsburgh leads 2-1. These two teams made the modern NFL. Their Super Bowl matchups in the 70s, it's what made America fall in love with professional football. When opponents score more than 20 points versus Justin Fields, they are 22-0. Cowboys will be without Micah Parsons. That's correct, right?
Yes, that is right. That came out about an hour ago. Yep.
First meeting in 1960, Cowboys expansion year. Bobby Lane at quarterback for the Steelers. Eddie LeBaron at quarterback for the Cowboys. Prime time for these two, Dallas with 106 wins in prime time. That's the most in the NFL. Pittsburgh with 98. That's the second most. Mike McCarthy's returned to Pittsburgh, a Pittsburgh native, grew up in the 70s when they were winning with the Steelers, winning with the Pirates, winning with Tony Dorsett at Pitt. Give me Dallas with the win.
Right.
21-14. Our Cowboys.
That's right, Brett. Our Cowboys. I'm also going to go the Cowboys. I love the Cowboys. How can I bet against
I'm stunned.
them?
I'm stunned you're going Cowboys.
Yeah.
Connor.
I went Cowboys as well.
Yes, go boys.
Well-known Cowboy hater Darian has the Steelers.
Of course he does. That doesn't surprise me.
NFL lock and shock. Darian has Chicago as his lock, -3.5 over Carolina. He has Arizona +7.5 at San Fran. Connor.
I have my lock is Commanders -3.5 versus the Browns, and my shock is Colts +2.5 at the Jaguars.
Boy, there's going to be some blood. Bryant.
Ditto. I have the exact same as Connor.
Wow.
Lock and
you
shock.
You too. So your Rebel lackeys, your Tennessee lackeys, and you conspired on your lock and shock.
I guess so.
Jaden Daniels has found it. Two is the new one.
He's been looking good. He's been looking deadly.
Y'all may hang out with each other too much. Has anybody ever told y'all that?
Maybe a little bit, yes.
No, that's good. All right, my lock is Jacksonville -3.5, so I'm straight against Connor in that one, and I'm going to I'm going to lay 3.5. You get 2.5, Connor. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to give you 3.5. No, we'll have the same thing. We got to be fair here.
That's
so
fine.
I'll give you 3.5, and I take Cleveland plus the 3.5 against Washington. So we're dueling it out against each other.
How about that? So yeah, there will be blood for sure.
No group locks in college or pro
That's hard
this
to
week.
believe.
How about that?
That's really
this
hard
year,
to
group locks. We're 5-3 on the year, 4-3 in college, 1-0 in the NFL. That was our Friday football forecast, brought to you by the great people at First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, whether it's commercial, ag, hunting, recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or call them or go by the offices on Ridge Lake or in Collierville or call them at 901-498-5763. Stable, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent through all these years.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we will wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business. It's football season and nothing goes better with Game Time Eats than chicken wings. It's a tradition like no other, but not just any wings, it's the seasoning that makes the chicken wing. And nobody does it better than the Crazy Coop at 7199 Stage Road west of Abilene and soon coming to downtown Memphis. Over 32 mouth-watering secret sauces and counting, like the jalapeno cheddar and the barbecue bacon bourbon. And don't bother asking them for the secret recipes. No matter how large your tailgating is or the family at home, kick off your game day with Crazy Coop party packs plus special bulk prices. Visit crazycoopstage.com to customize your wings and sauces. Whole wings, boneless wings. Try the Crazy Hot Suicide if you dare. Add Parmesan fries and fried dill pickles. And don't forget the carrots and celery sticks. For the full menu, which includes juicy burgers, catfish fillets, chicken nuggies, and crazy kid meals, go to crazycoopstage.com. That's crazycoopstage.com. You'd be crazy not to visit the Coop.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to slow it down and get it going slower. Eye Survey is proven to slow GA progression. Eye Survey, GA going slower. Eye Survey or a disinfected Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today. Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place and prices you never thought possible. What people really love about Genesis is the transparency, the education. Genesis is revealing all the long-held secrets of the diamond industry. We'll teach you how to buy like a dealer buys, how to understand the ways diamonds are priced by the wholesalers, how slight variations in size and clarity can translate into thousands in savings passed along to you. At Genesis, our commissioned diamond experts are here to guide you every step of the way. Our diamond education will make you a better consumer, even if you don't buy from us for a big shop in other places. Discover the Genesis difference forever changing the way you buy diamonds and buy jewelry. Now open at Opera Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that the Lakers start the preseason tonight against Minnesota, but we won't be able to see Bronny and LeBron together. Bronny is expected to play tonight and get minutes, but LeBron James is being held out for tonight's game. He will play, I believe they play again Sunday, but we will not get to see in preseason Bronny play with LeBron, at least not tonight.
Do we interrupt regular programming to show Bronny going to the scorer's table?
Maybe.
Do we have running statistics at the bottom of the screen on every movement of? Let's don't do him like this.
No.
I mean, he I mean, it's a blessing. I'm not talking in the negative, but he can't help, who his very, very famous dad is, and what is he supposed to do? Turn down an opportunity to play professional basketball?
Exactly.
Let's relax a little bit toward criticism of him, because he didn't engineer this move.
No, not at all. He's just benefiting from it.
What I learned is, very much, what I learned that Nico was on the road at OU, but Fayetteville at the beginning will be locked and loaded, and it'll be louder and tougher than Oklahoma was. It's at night versus afternoon, for one thing. Can the Arkansas crowd sustain that? And can Nico handle it? If they do, if they stay in the game, we shall see. It's going to be fun at Fayetteville. Arkansas needs this kind of win. They just can't take much more. All Tennessee wants to do is run the ball and run the clock.
No, you're right about that. What I could have done without the injuries, it was announced about an hour ago, Micah Parsons is out for Sunday night's game against the Steelers, and we also just learned that starting pitcher Joe Musgrove from the Padres, he's going to have to undergo Tommy John surgery. So a big loss for the Padres as they get ready to face off against the Dodgers. But some big-time injuries in the NFL and Major League Baseball.
And you went over our baseball picks, right?
Sure did.
Very good. What I could have done without, it's been a tough week in the Ole Miss world. I'll just be very candid with everyone. But I know one thing that can change it. Win tomorrow, and it changes everything. It changes the attitude. It changes the hopes for the rest of the season. You lose, then tough sledding.
That's right. It gets a lot different if you lose. Where are you beaming this weekend?
Beam me to where I am, state capital. I kind of beamed here today. It was easy to get here today. The state capital of South Carolina, Williams-Brice, for South Carolina hosting Ole Miss right here tomorrow at 12:30 on Sports 56 and 98.5. I'll be alongside Gary Darby. 2:30 kick, and we will see if this game can be won for Ole Miss. I think the winner of this game at least will probably go to one of those good Florida Bowl games.
Yeah, I think you're right. Being me tonight, I've been really looking forward to this game since the beginning of the week. But Syracuse on the road against UNLV tonight, 8 o'clock on FS1. We'll see if UNLV can continue their perfect season. It's going to be a tough test against a much better Syracuse team.
I like that game you've talked about all week. SMU at U of L, Iowa at Ohio State, mentioned Tennessee at Arkansas, the U at Cal. Baseball playoffs, early Sunday morning NFL, late Sunday night with Dallas and Pittsburgh, but the best game of the day on Sunday, Bills at Texans.
That's right. That's going to be a great one. Just a reminder, you mentioned it with Ole Miss and South Carolina. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 12:30 for that game tomorrow. Sunday, we'll have an NFL doubleheader. Dolphins at Patriots, Cardinals at 49ers, and Cowboys at Steelers. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.